Hello. Hello, we are so back, bestie. It is time for season 3 of Arrow. Let's get into this. If you are not caught up from season 1 and 2, don't worry. This is a very easy show to get into. You can jump right in right here, or you can check the link in the description to the playlist for seasons 1 and 2 if you would like to be all the way informed. But don't worry, I will make this very simple. What is this? What are we looking at? Let's dissect it real quick. The murder board back here is split into 3 sections. The current state of the board is how it looks at episode 15. So, if you are looking too closely, you will see spoilers. So just don't look at it too much. The big main section of the board here, this is present day Starling City. This little sliver is Hong Kong 5 years ago in the past. In the teeny tiny little corner, this is the Slay Station. This is just highlighting all of my favorite characters who slay or have been slain. Each photo on the board shows a character from the show. The ones that are printed out big are the main characters. The ones that are printed out small are the more important recurring side characters. And then the rest of them that I drew are the sidiest of side characters. They mainly show up for 1 or 2 episodes. Most of the characters that you're looking at right now were covered up by question marks at some point. I did put some of them back on to, keep a little bit of the mystery alive. And I will dramatically reveal the characters when we get to that point. The string is color-coded to represent the connections between the characters. So, blue represents friends, pink is the romance, red, that's going to connect enemies, yellow, that connects family, orange connects coworkers, and green connects people who are working together in terms of superhero missions. So they're a team of villains or they're a team of heroes. They're super coworkers. The colors behind the characters represent my personal opinions on them. The characters that are outlined in orange are my favorite characters because orange is my favorite color. Blue are characters that I think are cool. I enjoy when these characters are on screen. Red, opposite, hate them, get them off the screen. Tomato, tomato. Green, I don't particularly care about them either way. They're neutral. Green's the neutral color. Pink, it's a special case. These are characters that I call Girlboss characters. Girlbosses are characters that drive the plot forward and never let the plot drive them. Not every character that is cool is a girlboss, but every character that is a girlboss is cool. There are little tags added to the pictures. In episode 1, there's only 4 that we have to contend with. It's the green triangle to signify who knows the Green Arrow's identity, the orange lightning bolt to signify who knows the Flash's secret identity, red RIP, that is for characters who are dead or presumed dead, the purple M, which signifies characters that are metahumans. This is more of an issue when it comes to the Flash being integrated into the show, and if you haven't seen the Flash, I have a video on season 1. You can watch that after this. That's not a prerequisite. If you are familiar with the DC Comics characters, then it won't be an issue for you. Like the Flash, he's just Fast Man. The Arrow, that's just Robin Hood. It's very simple, very easy to follow. I added more keys as the season goes on. So characters with a brown L are members of the League of Assassins. Characters with a blue A are Argus agents, and we're not touching the S and the T yet. That's for later, that's a spoiler. With all that out of the way, let's get started. Here is the briefest of brief summaries so that if you aren't caught up on season 1 and 2, I'll get you caught up now real quick. Main character of the show, Oliver Queen. He is the Arrow. He goes by the Arrow. In seasons 1 and 2, he was mostly called the Hood. He is a billionaire vigilante. His secret hideout is underneath a club called Verdant. This all started as a solo mission, but slowly Oliver has roped in other characters into his crusade. So that would be the main squad, Felicity and Diggle. But now we've also got Roy in the fold. Felicity, she is the computer whiz. She is good with technology. She can hack into anything. If there is a firewall, consider it knocked down. The main love interest for Oliver Queen as well, Olicity, that's the ship, that's Endgame. Felicity is also the main character that connects Arrow to the Flash at first, because she is the one who ends up being friends with Barry Allen, who is the Flash. Don't worry about it. John Diggle. Dig, as his friends call him. I will mostly refer to him as Diggle. He is ex-military, big, beefy guy. He's a professional marksman, very military-minded. He got roped in because at first he was Oliver's bodyguard, but now he has become Oliver's, main man, his, not sidekick, that's more of Roy's deal. Diggle's, Oliver's partner in crime. Diggle is not married to Lila from Argus. They used to be married, they got divorced, messy, but she is pregnant at the moment with Diggle's child. Argus, head up by Amanda Waller. Amanda Waller is also going to be in the past. 5 years ago, Amanda Waller was kind of pulling the strings in Hong Kong with Oliver and these new characters. Roy and Thea, Oliver's sister, they were in kind of a little bit of a relationship, but Thea ran away because Oliver and Roy were keeping too many secrets from her, and it was starting to hurt her head, so Thea ran away with her dad, Malcolm Merlin. Everyone thinks Malcolm is dead, but Roy is now Oliver's little sidekick. He runs around in a red hoodie, and he can shoot a bow and arrow. He's pretty good at fighting at this point. Laurel, Quentin, and Sara, the Lance family. Their family life is a bit hectic. Sara Lance, she was presumed dead, but then she actually wasn't dead in season 2, turns out, and now in season 3, she is back at the League of Assassins. Are you still with me? Back at the League of Assassins with her lesbian girlfriend Nissa, who is the daughter of the demon. Don't worry about it. Father, Quentin Lance, is now the police captain. He was a detective, got demoted to cop. Now he's been promoted back up to captain. He has a heart condition, bad heart, very fragile man, should not be in the field. Laurel is a lawyer. Girlboss, lawyer supreme, actually. If there's a case, she can win it. She's never had a problem in court, and she never will, because she just slays so hard. Laurel is in on Oliver's secret identity, but at this point, she is not a vigilante herself. Circle back to Malcolm Merlin. He is a very important character. My favorite character. He was the main villain of season 1 of the show. Had this whole big undertaking, which killed, I think 500 some people. He had an affair with Oliver's mother, Moira. Rest her soul. She is now prime queen of the slay station. Malcolm and Moira's affair birthed Thea, who just recently found out that he was her secret dad this whole time, and Thea is the only one that knows he is still alive because after the undertaking, everyone thought he was dead. But he's not dead, because he can't die. This is the most evil man in the show. He's not the main villain somehow this season, but he's very close. The 5 years ago in Hong Kong thing, this is the 3rd year of Oliver's tragic past flashback. In season 1, he was marooned on an island off the coast of China called Lian Yu. It's Mandarin for purgatory. He ended up getting off of the island and sent to Hong Kong, picked up by Amanda Waller to do some weird stuff in Hong Kong. That's what's going on over here. That's all you need to know to get into season 3. Now let's jump in. Episode 1, The Calm. Oliver, Felicity, John, and Roy are now Team Arrow, and they are going after this truck full of RPGs. Roy's little costume is this stupid red hoodie with, lace-up corset vibes in the front. Title screen. Team Arrow are celebrating their newest victory. Oliver mentions that he hasn't seen Thea since the siege, and he's been getting postcards from her. Now he's got one from the Amalfi Coast. Felicity and Oliver have a little plan. Both of them are going to go to a board meeting at Queen Consolidated, and she is going to help Oliver get his company back. Woohoo! Make Oliver rich again. Oliver congratulates Diggle on his soon-to-be-born baby girl. Very important. The baby is a girl. Diggle's like, yo, Oliver, when are you gonna ask Felicity out on a proper date? I mean, you literally told her you loved her. And Oliver's like, I only said that to trick Slade. And Diggle's like, yeah, well, now the only person you're tricking is yourself. Let's figure out what the fuck is happening in Hong Kong, alright? Oliver, greasy, grimy, gross, is running through the streets of Hong Kong. He is being pursued by this man, who in this scene is wearing a full, suit and tie, businessman vibes. Oliver runs into a cafe library type place, tries to send an email to his mom to let her know that he's alive. The guy that's chasing him shoots the computer, and then he captures Oliver and brings him back to Amanda Waller. In the present day, Laurel tells Oliver to meet her up so that they can see a press release that her father, Quentin Lance, now police captain, is giving to the city. Police Captain Lance gives a press release, and he reveals that he's disbanding the anti-Arrow task force. He thanks the Arrow publicly for his service to saving the city from the siege. Who's the criminal of the week? I'm sure you're just dying to know. It's this fucking guy, Werner Zeidel. He is part of some crime organization. They're pushing Vertigo. He's we gotta kill the Arrow. Oliver pulls up his pull-ups and finally asks Girlboss Supreme Felicity Smoak out on a proper date. Felicity! That's my favorite ship. I know that nothing bad is gonna happen on this date. It's gonna go perfectly, flawlessly, awesomely. Nothing bad ever happens when two characters are in love in the Arrowverse. It's always smooth sailing, right? The Arrow, after he ties up this latest criminal, goes and thanks Captain Lance for that press release he gave. Lance and the Arrow are on great terms. Lance and the Arrow have a working relationship. They mostly communicate through Felicity, because Lance knows that Felicity works with the Arrow. In Hong Kong, Amanda Waller goes up to Oliver and she's like, Mr. Queen, you need to stop trying to run away. I brought you here for a reason. I require a man of your capacity. Oliver's like, fuck you, I just want to go home. I just got off that fucking island at the computer store, Tech Village. Felicity's working there. Some guy comes in, very unassuming, nerdy type guy, comes in, he's like, hey, I need some fuck-ass device that can help me, like, break an encryption. I don't know, I wasn't paying attention. There's flirty vibes between this unassuming nerd and Felicity, and she kind of gives him a step-by-step instruction in how to hack whatever he was trying to hack, and he's like, oh my god, you're Felicity Smoak. I know who you are. Why do you work here? Why are you here? Like, do you want a real job? Felicity's like, no, I'm cool. John takes pregnant Lila to the doctor because she's afraid she's having contractions. False alarm. John and Lila kind of discuss their relationship. They are not engaged and they're not married, but perhaps they'll change that in the future. We get to the little date between Oliver and Felicity. Oliver tells Felicity during those 5 years he was away, he wasn't always on the island, and he's been thinking a lot about his time that he spent in Hong Kong specifically, and his experience there made him view people as either threats or targets. And he tells Felicity that she is the first person that he's ever met that is just a person. Like, she's not a threat, she's not a target, she's just a person. And Felicity's like, oh, that's so sweet. And I'm like, no. But when Oliver got to the restaurant, he had to stash his green Arrow suit. The suit was tagged by the bad guy that he fought. So bad guy Werner Zeidel is able to track the Arrow to this restaurant. He bombs the restaurant. Why do we have to blow up Felicity's first date? What is that? Why are we doing that? Can't they just have fucking spaghetti? After the bombing happens, Oliver's like, Felicity, that only happened because I was distracted by you. Here we go again with the same shit. Lance and the Arrow team up. Lance gives Oliver kind of the scoop on Werner Zeidel, what's up with him. Apparently, he's pushing this new Vertigo. New Vertigo also is scary Vertigo. This new Vertigo reveals the worst fear of the person who takes it, okay? So obviously Werner Zeidel fucking shoots the Arrow up with Vertigo, and what is Oliver's worst fear? Yes, it's himself. You're absolutely right. Because there's nothing scarier to Oliver than Oliver. In Hong Kong, Oliver wakes up in a stranger's home. There's some rando-ass woman. She's Japanese. She starts talking to him in Japanese. He doesn't understand a goddamn word. It's this woman, by the way. Her name is Tatsu. She reveals that Oliver is at her husband's home. Who's her husband? Yeah, this guy, Maseo, the guy who was literally chasing him earlier. Maseo reveals to Oliver that Amanda Waller has made Oliver his problem. If Oliver tries to run away and Maseo can't contain Oliver, then Amanda Waller will, I don't know, kill their son? Akio. Amanda Waller is threatening to kill a child. So Oliver's like, well, fuck, now I guess I have to stay. It's time for the board meeting, where Oliver and Felicity are going to try and get Oliver his company back. At the board meeting, they meet some potential competition in Ray Palmer. Who is Ray Palmer? The unassuming nerd from Tech Village, of course. Only he's not an unassuming nerd. This guy is a billionaire, CEO, tech mogul. Alright, if there's a tech out there, he's trademarked it. He's built it. This guy, Ray Palmer, he is technology. Ray Palmer is like, oh, hey, Felicity, nice to see you again. Felicity's like, huh? And Oliver's like, you know this guy. Ray wants to buy Queen Consolidated. He wants to be the new CEO. Ray and Oliver both give their pitches. Oliver is this very, like, this is my family's company. I will make my family proud. Please put me back as CEO. And then Ray gets up and it's all like, la-di-da-di-da. Hi, I have this big PowerPoint presentation. And he starts pulling gadgets and gizmos off his entire body like he's got a projector on his belt buckle. And in the presentation, it's like all of the raw data from the Queen Consolidated servers about their productivity and profits while Oliver was the CEO. How did he get that information? Well, he followed the advice of one Felicity Smoak at the tech village, of course. So that's not great. Yeah, Ray wins. The board likes Ray more than they like Oliver. Ray Palmer is now CEO of Queen Consolidated. Ray Palmer also has a big plan, not to just rebrand Queen Consolidated, but to rebrand the entire fucking city. He wants to rename Starling City to Star City. Can you do that? Is that allowed? Big bad Werner Zeidel, his big plan is that he wants to take out all the crime bosses in Starling City so that he can become the only crime boss left. All the crime bosses are going to be gathered at the same place, big-ass stadium that's filled with a bunch of innocent civilians. Werner Zeidel is going to bomb the stadium and kill everyone there. Luckily, Team Arrow to the rescue. Oliver does not want Diggle on this mission because now that Diggle is going to be a father, he shouldn't be out in the field. And Diggle's like, fuck you, Oliver. I make my own choices. I'll do what I want. But Oliver's like, nope, you're not coming on this one. This is my call. So Diggle does not join them on this mission. Roy takes out the bomb. Oliver goes after Werner. Sarah Lance from the League of Assassins randomly shows up and helps Oliver fight Werner Zeidel. They take him down together. Werner's like, there will always be someone to take up the mantle of Vertigo. Felicity goes to the hospital to see Diggle and Lila's baby. Baby was born during the fight, so thank goodness Diggle was there. Could you imagine if he missed the birth of his child? Ray followed Felicity to the hospital, and he's like, hey, bestie, can you please unhack my computer? Felicity, hacked his computer and made, a bunch of hedgehogs or some shit pop up on his screen over and over because she was pissed off that he used her to hack into Queen Consolidated and get all that data. Listen, Felicity, I'm sorry that I bought the company. I'm sorry I'm such a charming guy. How about you work for me at Queen Consolidated? And Felicity's like, fuck no. Diggle talks to Oliver, who is also at the hospital to see the baby, and he's like, thanks, man. Thank you for not letting me go into the field. You are absolutely right. Things are different now. I'm a father. I cannot be putting myself in danger because my sweet little baby girl, it's a girl, by the way. My sweet little baby girl deserves a father who doesn't put himself in danger all the fucking time. In the hallways at the hospital, Felicity and Oliver have a big relationship moment. He's like, listen, I love you, I do, but, I can't be with you and be the Arrow. Maybe one day that'll change, but, for right now, that's not how it is. Felicity's like, stop it with the maybe shit, alright? Maybe cut it out, okay? Because I can't be with you if you're gonna be like, ooh, maybe, I have better shit to do. And Oliver kisses Felicity to try and, fix this or whatever. Doesn't work. She's like, nope, I'm gone. Bye. So their relationship, over. Oliver gets a phone call from Barry Allen. Remember Barry Allen from season 2, episode 8 and 9, I believe? He got struck by lightning. He was in a coma. He just woke up from the coma, and he wants to talk to Oliver about something. I will tell you what that is. He's the Flash. Barry Allen is super fast, super fucking fast, and he wants to talk to Oliver about it. The last scene of this episode is Laurel and Sara. They're on top of a rooftop. They're just chatting about girly things, big sister moment. And Sara is like, Laurel, don't tell Dad I'm in town. I don't want him to know I'm here. He'll get all worried about me. I'm here on League business. Laurel leaves. Sara is still on the rooftop. A distorted voice from off-screen gets her attention. She spins around and she's like, what are you doing here? And this person shoots Sara in the chest with 3 arrows. Sara falls off the roof, lands right in front of Laurel, is dead. End screen. Just like in my previous videos, I've been keeping track of the dramatic pauses, the quips, every time I laughed, and I've been keeping a kill counter for the entire season. So for this episode, the character with the most dramatic pauses was Oliver. He had 42. The character with the most quips was Felicity. She had 7. The character that I laughed at the most was Oliver. He had 3 laughs from me. And there was only 1 kill this episode. It was from Werner. I did not mark Sara's death because at this point, we don't know who killed her. If you want the full list of the stats, I have linked to a Google document with all of the tables and charts as well as totals for the entire season. That's in the description. You should check that out. That took forever. Episode 2, Sara. Laurel brings Sara's corpse to the Arrow Cave and presents it to Roy, Felicity, and Oliver, and they're like, oh no, she's dead, dead, there's nothing they can do to save her. In Hong Kong, Oliver and Maceo, this guy, are on a rooftop setting up a sniper rifle. Maceo is like, Oliver, your target will be approaching. In 10 seconds, take the shot. And then his target turns around. Who is it? Tommy Merlin! So obviously Oliver's not shooting him. Title screen. Oliver and Laurel have a discussion about Sara being dead. Laurel is like, we can't tell my dad, okay? He has a bad heart. He wouldn't be able to take it. If I told him that Sara died, it would kill him. We cannot tell him. And Oliver and everyone else agrees not to tell Captain Lance that his daughter is dead. Oliver goes to the roof where Sara died to look for clues. Diggle also shows up and he's like, hey man, I'm gonna ask Lila for some help from Argus. Sara's death has to be a secret in general, so anyone that has a gray S on their person now knows that Sara is dead. Oliver gets a call from Captain Lance, and he's like, hey, I need to talk to you. I know about Sara. Dun dun dun. When they go meet up, turns out he doesn't know about Sara. He knows that Sara is back in town because there's a new killer on the loose who appears to be working for the League of Assassins. He's dressed kind of like a League of Assassins guy. And Lance thinks that that means that Sara is in town. He also says an absolutely iconic quote. Arrow looks distressed and distraught. And Lance says, what the hell is wrong with you? You look like someone peed in your cornflakes. I bet you're wondering the $1 million question. Why is Tommy Merlin in Hong Kong 5 years ago? It's because when Oliver logged into his email account to try and send that email to Moira, it sent off an alert. Maceo is like, Oliver, dead men don't check their emails. Love Maceo, by the way. Maceo? He has some absolutely banger lines in this show. This episode in particular has a lot of really iconic quotes, like, you look like someone peed in your cornflakes, dead men don't check their email, and one that's coming up that absolutely, blew my socks off. Because Tommy knows that somebody logged into Oliver's email account, he came to Hong Kong to try and scope that out, I guess. So now Amanda Waller needs Tommy Merlin dead, because nobody can know that Oliver Queen is alive, because Amanda Waller does need, reasons, okay? There's a lot of reasons. Felicity gets a ping on her cell phone, and she's like, oh, I gotta go. There's someone I need to kill. Who is the man she needs to kill? Ray Palmer, of course, because she just was notified that Ray Palmer bought Tech Village. He now owns the computer store that she works at, and she's angry. She goes up to Ray at Queen Consolidated, and she's like, you need to stop. You need to stop sending me flowers and emails and stop trying to get me to work for you, and I cannot believe that you had the audacity to buy the company that I worked at just so that you could say that I work for you. How about fuck off? How about leave me alone? And Ray's flabbers are gasted. He's like, most girls would be flattered that I spent $1.2 billion trying to hire them. But unlike Haley Steinfeld, Felicity Smoak does not want to be like most girls. Okay. Again, Ray offers her a job with him at Queen Consolidated, unspecified job, and Felicity is like, no. Ray is like, listen, Felicity, I can tell that you're mad about something, but I know that it's not me. I know I didn't do anything wrong here, so, what are you mad about? Do you want to talk about it? Ray Palmer is the sweetest guy. He's so sweet and awesome, and nothing bad will happen to Ray, surely. Team Arrow discovers that this mysterious League of Assassins looking guy, his name is Simon LaCroix. That's my worst drawing, okay? Don't look at it. Simon LaCroix allegedly killed Sara. The Arrow gets into a motorcycle chase with LaCroix. LaCroix gets away. In Hong Kong, Oliver's going through it. He does not want to kill Tommy. He does not want anyone to kill Tommy, alright? That's not in the cards for Oliver. So he's like, Maceo, there's gotta be something we could do. What if we just went to a local morgue and found a body that looks like Tommy's, and then we can just present it to Amanda Waller. And Maceo's like, yeah, great plan, Oliver, except for the fact that we're in Hong Kong and that motherfucker is an American. Where are you gonna find him in a morgue? Banger quotes in this episode. We cut over to what Tommy's doing, and he's in this really expensive hotel. He's on the phone with his dad, and his dad is mad because he took the fucking private jet and didn't tell him where he was going. And Tommy's like, well, fuck you, Dad. Just have fun banging your Pilates instructor. I'm gonna find my friend. I'm here to find Oliver. As soon as he's done with this phone call, he gets drugged and kidnapped. Oliver and Felicity have a chat, and Felicity fully breaks down. She's having the worst time of her life right now. She's like, everything's falling apart. Sara is dead. We have her body in a fucking freezer upstairs. Like, we have to keep it a secret for some goddamn reason. And how are you acting so stone cold and reasonable throughout all of this, Oliver? How are you doing that? And Oliver is just like, well, Felicity, I don't have the luxury to experience emotions, okay? I'm the leader, so I don't get to sit around and be sad. That's a luxury that I cannot afford. And Felicity's like, it's actually a normal human response to have emotions, Oliver. You ever consider that? Throughout this entire episode, Oliver has been trying to call Thea. He keeps leaving her voicemails. She's not answering. Eventually, Roy admits to him that she wrote him a letter before she left, and in the letter she said that she just needed space and she didn't want anyone to go find her. Team Arrow discovers that the Archer, Simon LaCroix's next target, will be attending an event hosted by Ray Palmer called the Star City Pledge. Okay, remember, this fucking guy thinks he can waltz in here and rename a whole city. Okay, I'll believe that when I see it. This guy is not in the League of Assassins. Simon LaCroix is just your average mercenary. Laurel wants to go with the team. Laurel is out for blood. She wants to be the one to kill this guy. Okay, because he killed Sara. So she is gonna kill him. That's how justice works. And Oliver is like, no, you're not gonna kill this guy. Okay, because I have taken a no-killing vow. Yes, we are still in our Batman era. Oliver and the entire team, by extension, are in their no-kill era. At the Star City Pledge event, Ray tells everyone that he will be donating half of his net worth to help make the city great again. He doesn't say it that way, but like, Ray, you're trying to buy a city. The Archer, Simon LaCroix, busts in. He's ready to kill his next target. Thank goodness Team Arrow is there. Oliver corners him, ties him up. He's ready to turn him into the police, but Laurel shows up. And she's got a gun that she stole from the Arrow Cave. And she points the gun at LaCroix and she's like, why did you kill my sister? Why did you kill Sara? And LaCroix is just like, I didn't kill nobody named Sara, okay? So stop pointing that gun at me, bitch. Laurel doesn't believe him. Oliver's like, listen, he's telling the truth, bro. He didn't kill Sara. Laurel's like, but he still killed other people. And then she points that gun at him and she fires. But there's no bullets in the gun. Oliver took the bullets out. Laurel is pissed because Oliver put training wheels on her gun, so she wasn't allowed to kill anyone. Oliver, again, is making choices for all of the other characters against their will. Love it when he does that. I'm not a gun expert, but I feel like if I was out for blood, if I wanted to avenge my sister's murder, I would check to make sure there were bullets in the gun. That might just be me. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if checking for bullets is like on your checklist when you go to grab a gun and avenge your sister's murder. Oliver is like, Laurel, you have to tell your fucking dad that your sister is dead, and you have to do it ASAP. And Laurel's like, okay. So she goes to talk to Lance. And then Lance is like, dude, today was a pretty bad day for the old heart. Alright, the doctor stopped by, gave me even more medicine to take. But what was it you wanted to tell me about? And then Laurel's like, I just wanted to tell you how much I love you! Okay, yeah, so she chickens out. Interactions like that, where Laurel has the intention of telling Lance about Sara, and then Lance doing or saying something that makes him seem frail and weak to her, and then Laurel deciding not to tell him, that happens multiple times, and I will not be going over every instance where it does happen, but that's going to happen a lot. Team Arrow buries Sara in her old grave from before, when they thought that she died on the Queen's Gambit, if you remember that. Laurel is angry. She's like, this is perverse. I cannot believe that we're burying Sara in an old grave. Like, she doesn't get a fresh grave. She doesn't get a service. Nobody knows who she was. Diggle and Lila are also at this little funeral, and they go up to Laurel and they tell her that they will be honoring Sara by naming their baby girl Sara. Baby Sara so sweet, baby Sara so precious, baby Sara will always be baby Sara. Always and forever. Here comes my favorite quote of the episode. Alright, probably my favorite quote of the season, maybe? I don't know if I'd go that far, but it's up there. In Hong Kong, Tommy Merlin is tied up, captured, and his captor is wearing a hood. It's Oliver, okay? Oliver staged a capture for Tommy. Tommy's freaking out. He's like, let me go. Do you know who my father is? He'll pay a lot of money for me if you just please don't kill me. Oliver is like shrouded in this hood and he's like, would a fisherman throw his prize catch back into the sea?
Would a fisherman throw his prize catch back in the sea? What are you talking about?
It's quotes like that. It's quotes like that. That is the reason that I love this show. Oliver is like, I staged that email account login. I knew that somebody rich would come looking for this dead billionaire who is dead. Oliver Queen is dead, deader than dead. And Tommy's like, no, please, let me go. And then Maceo comes in and he's like, Hong Kong police. And then Oliver pretends to run away. And then Maceo pretends to be a police officer and he frees Tommy. And so now Tommy believes that Oliver is dead and will certainly not be looking for him anymore, so therefore they don't have to kill Tommy. There's a sad montage of all of our main characters crying over Sara's death. Laurel is in the Arrow Cave, and she looks for a suspiciously long time at Sara's black leather jacket, her gloves, her wig, and her mask. Felicity goes to see Ray, and she's like, I would like to accept your ambiguous job offer. We finally get to see what the fuck happened to Thea Queen Merlin. Thea Merlin Queen. I don't know, we finally get to see what happened to Thea. She's in Corto Maltese, and she is killing it. She's slaying. She is a badass now. She's fighting a bunch of guys with a bow staff, and she cut her hair real short too. She's got this new short hair. I did give her an updated picture to reflect the haircut, because yes! Obsessed with that. While Thea is fighting these guys, Malcolm Merlin, dressed in the craziest button-down t-shirt, he looks so odd wearing that, is just standing there watching, like, end screen. Stats for this episode. The character with the most dramatic pauses was Oliver. He had 47. The character with the most quips is a three-way tie between Oliver, Lance, and Maceo. They all had 4. The character with the most laughs from me was Oliver. I laughed at him 6 times. Most of it had to do with the would a fisherman toss his prize catch back into the sea quote. And there were 3 kills this episode, all for LaCroix. We're experimenting with a bit of a different angle this time. Okay, bear with me. Episode 3. Corto Maltese. We revisit the scene from the end of season 2 where Thea gets in the car with Malcolm and she says, I want you to teach me how to not feel hurt anymore. And then they get in the car and they go God only knows where. Oliver is trying to track down leads on Sara's murder, but he's having absolutely no luck. Felicity is having some good luck though, because she managed to track down Thea. She's in Corto Maltese. Oliver wants to go, pay her a visit. Lila asked Diggle to go with Oliver to Corto Maltese because there's an agent there that went dark. Agent Shaw. He went dark in Corto Maltese. Lila just wants Diggle to check on him. Laurel is going to question a boxing instructor named Ted because she's looking into some kind of criminal case. Ted refuses to give up any information on his students, but he can tell that Laurel has a lot of bottled up anger inside her, and he suggests coming by for a boxing lesson to kind of let off some steam. Oliver, Diggle, and Roy get to Corto Maltese. We get a Thea flashback. This is the first of an extended Thea flashback. Like, it's one scene, but they cut it up into like 3 chunks because they're insane. So in this first part of the scene, Thea and Malcolm are in Corto Maltese. They are sitting by a pot of boiling water. Malcolm is rambling about his tragic backstory and about how after Rebecca died, he was just like Thea. Malcolm pours a cup of hot tea over his hand, and he does not flinch, okay? That shit's boiling! Malcolm's like, Thea, you have to learn that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. He's about to fucking pour that shit all over Thea as well. Title screen. Oliver sits down with Thea at the cafe and he asks her, please come back to Starling, I miss you. And Thea's like, yeah, I miss you too, bro, but I'm not going back. Okay, not after all the lies you told me. Finally, I'm in a place where nobody recognizes me as Thea Queen or Thea Merlin. Like, here I can just be myself. And I cannot go back to Starling City. It's simply not happening. Hot tea flashback continues. She pulls her hand away from the boiling hot tea and she's like, I'm sorry, I'm not as strong as you thought I was. Like, this is kind of crazy. Maybe this whole thing was a bad idea. Malcolm is like, no, Thea. This is not your fault. It's mine. We're at Queen Consolidated. It's Felicity's first day working for Ray Palmer. She goes to talk to Ray Palmer and Ray is like, he rambles. Ray loves to ramble, he loves to blabber, and he ends up mentioning coffee. And Felicity is like, actually, I have a couple of ground rules, and one of them is that I will never, ever, ever bring you coffee. Ever. And Ray is like, okay, I wasn't planning on having you bring me coffee because you're not my assistant. In fact, this is Jerry. He's your assistant. You will be in this big-ass office. Have fun. Her exact job description is not specified. Want to point out something that bothers me about, like, all of these buildings. This building is made almost entirely out of glass, okay? I am 100% sure they are reusing the same office building that they used as Merlin Global to be Queen Consolidated, okay? This building is made entirely out of glass. All of the walls are glass. You can see into every office room. I really hope that the bathrooms are not also made out of glass. Could you imagine pissing in a glass toilet with a glass stall around you? I hate this building, and I hate Ray Palmer for buying it. What is it with billionaires and big companies in CW shows? Why are the buildings always made of glass? So much glass. How is that structurally sound? John in Corto Maltese goes to talk to Shaw, the agent that Lila wanted him to find, and Shaw is like, listen, buddy, I'm being hunted, alright? There's a whole gaggle of guys after me because I have the Argus Actual. What is the Actual, you might be asking? It's essentially a database of all of the Argus agents, all of their code names, their cover stories, all of their family members, all of their addresses. Dig's like, well, shit, yeah, we don't want that falling into the wrong hands. Baby Sarah's in there. Laurel and her father are both recovering alcoholics, and they are both attending an AA meeting. At the AA meeting, a woman named Erica tells a story about her boyfriend and how her boyfriend is abusive to her. Okay, not great. Laurel doesn't think this is great. Nobody thinks this is great. She talks to her dad about this afterwards, asking if there's anything he could do since he's literally the police captain. But Lance is like, listen, as soon as the cops start bringing their badges and guns into these meetings, that's when the drunks stop coming. Okay, so I can't go after this guy. And Laurel's like, smells like justice is not being done here. In Corto Maltese, we learn that Agent Shaw is actually not the good guy, okay? He's not being attacked. He is the attacker. He has the Argus Actual, and he intends on selling it to the bad guys. Oh my god, what kind of horrible person would want to buy the Argus Actual? We may never know. All he needed in order to make the sale was the decoder that Diggle has. So Diggle gave him the decoder not knowing that this would happen. So now Shaw has the decoded Actual and he's going to sell it to this bad guy. Roy goes to talk to Thea. Thea essentially tells him the exact same thing that she told Oliver, that she's happy here, that she never wants to go back to Starling City. And Roy is like, you know what? If you're happy here, then you should stay. And that is incredibly emotionally mature for Roy Harper. Back to the hot tea flashback, Thea is confused because the last thing Malcolm said was, this isn't your fault, it's mine. What do you mean, Dad? What is that? And he's like, oh, I shouldn't be teaching you like you're my daughter. I need to treat you like you're just a student. Okay, I have been going about this the wrong way. I thought I could take the soft boy approach, but I've learned that we can't do that. So he attacks her.
The only way to forge steel is to temper it with fire.
Stay away from me, you sick son of a bitch!
Felicity's at Queen Consolidated. Ray comes into the room to ask her to do some work shit, but then she gets a call from Diggle, who's asking her to get some information on the buyer that is gonna buy the actual, and then she's doing that, and then she gets another phone call from Laurel, who asks her to get information on Erica's boyfriend so that she can go hunt him down. Felicity's dual-wielding phones, typing on like 3 screens at a time, giving all this information to John and Laurel. Ray's just like, is this like every day for you? And Felicity's like, yeah, this is just like Tuesday, you know? Laurel suits the fuck up, okay? It doesn't smell like justice, but that's because she was not wearing her perfume yet, alright? What does that even mean? Laurel suits up in a ski mask and Sarah's leather jacket, and she's got a baseball bat, and she's gonna swing it at Erica's no-good boyfriend, okay? She corners him in an alley. She gets a couple of good, nice conks on him before he gets the upper hand. It gives her a beating. She's beat. Laurel is sent to the hospital. In the hospital, Lance is like, hey, maybe never do that again. And Laurel's like, yeah, no, you're right. I'm never gonna do that again. Oliver is making one last-ditch effort to get Thea to come home to Starling City, and he tells Thea part of the truth about their father, that Robert Queen did not die on the Gambit. He made it off onto a lifeboat, and then he killed himself so that Oliver could live. Thea's like, oh my god, this changes everything. The whole Argus actual sale is happening. Diggle and Oliver team up to stop it. The good guys win, and then Diggle ends up taking Shaw back to Argus and handing him over to Amanda Waller. Thea goes up to Malcolm, and she's like, hey dad, I want to go home actually. Changed my mind. And Malcolm's like, you're not fucking ready, okay? We have much to learn still. And Thea's like, yeah, no, let me prove that to you. So they do a little fight, and he definitely lets her win. When she gets to the airport, she's sitting next to some guy in the waiting room. He accidentally spills his scalding hot coffee all over her hand. Girl does not flinch. Laurel goes to Oliver when he gets back, and she's like, can you please train me to fight like Sara? Like, when I fought that guy, yeah, I got my ass handed to me, but while I was hitting him with that baseball bat, that was the only relief that I felt from Sarah's death this entire time. I need you to train me. I need to be like her. Oliver puts his foot down, and he says, no, Laurel, I will not indulge this. I will never train you. You will never be a part of Team Arrow. Laurel's like, okay, I don't need you. So she goes to talk to Ted, and she starts taking boxing lessons with Ted. Felicity asks Ray for a few days off so she can go to Central City and meet up with her friend who just got out of his coma. In the Arrow Cave, Roy and Oliver are having a chat, and Roy's like, hey, do you think there's something off about Thea? But before we can unpack that, Nyssa Al Ghul barges into the Arrow Cave, bow raised, and she's like, where's Sara? End screen. The stats for this episode: the character with the most dramatic pauses was Oliver. He had 50. The character with the most quips was Laurel. She had 5. Character I laughed at the most was Malcolm. I laughed at him 9 times. This episode was truly unhinged for Malcolm. Nobody died. Episode 4, The Magician. The lighting, different. I'm trying something. I don't know if it's working. I won't know until I edit the video. Oliver breaks the news to Nyssa that Sara is dead. Nyssa is like, she was shot with arrows, wasn't she? And then Oliver's like, how do you know that? Oliver has a little dinner date with Thea, and she tells him that she plans on reopening the club because she has some investors who are going to help her with that. Oliver remarks that she seems different. She seems more mature now. And Thea's like, thank you. In Hong Kong, their mission in this episode is to track down and kill a terrorist and then take something off of his person. Laurel and Nyssa have a bit of a moment at Sarah's grave. Laurel is mad at Nyssa because she blames Nyssa for leading Sara down a dark path. Nyssa's just like, no, I didn't lead her anywhere. Girl had darkness inside her. Laurel is wearing Sara's jacket. Nyssa tells her that she is the one who got Sara that jacket, and she says that Laurel is not fit to wear Sara's jacket. Oliver confronts Nyssa again, and Nyssa reveals that Sara was only in Starling City because they heard rumors that an enemy of the League was in Starling City. Who? Malcolm Merlyn, of course. Title screen. Nyssa explains everything that she and the League know about Malcolm Merlyn and some of the lore behind why they're after him. The League of Assassins has some terms and conditions, and Malcolm Merlyn's undertaking from season 1 violated the terms and conditions, and Ra's al Ghul is now copyright striking Malcolm Merlyn. When Oliver killed Malcolm, the League considered the debt settled. However, they received word in season 2 from a reliable source that Malcolm Merlyn was indeed alive and in Starling. Who's the source? Moira Queen, yes. From that point on, the League of Assassins had been tracking Malcolm Merlyn everywhere he went until ultimately it led to Sara coming to Starling City on a Malcolm Merlyn lead. And they discover that Sara might have asked her father for some intel. Laurel goes to the precinct. Lance reveals that Sara did come to him and ask him for the address of a man called Jansen. And Nyssa tells Laurel that she needs to tell her father about Sara's death. But Laurel's like, no. This Jansen guy is a monk, which leads them to a monastery. Turns out Jansen is dead, and the person cosplaying as Jansen is Malcolm Merlyn. They fight. By they, I mean Nyssa and Malcolm.
Hello, Nyssa.
And then Oliver joins in. He shoots Malcolm with an arrow, but it just grazes his arm, and then Malcolm gets away. In the arrow cave, Oliver tells the team, including Laurel, that he tagged Malcolm Merlyn with a tracker arrow. This fucking thing's got some nanites in it, and it can track Malcolm, I guess. I don't know, pop off. Laurel is angry. You had a shot on Malcolm Merlyn, and you didn't kill him? She tells Oliver that Sara would have wanted Malcolm dead. Oliver claps back with the, I'm not a killer, Laurel. In Hong Kong, Oliver kills the suspected terrorist and takes the keys and a flash drive off of his person. Laurel goes to talk to Nyssa, and she tells Nyssa that she needs to kill Malcolm Merlyn because Oliver is just gonna let him go. Oliver tracks down Malcolm Merlyn to an air conditioner factory. He is not there, but the phone rings, Oliver answers it, and Malcolm asks him to meet up somewhere public. Malcolm and Oliver meet up in the middle of a busy street. He's like, the League of Assassins is hunting me. Of course I did not kill Sara, okay? It would be stupid and dumb for me to kill the daughter of Ra's al Ghul's beloved, okay? Not that dumb. He also reveals to Oliver that he helped Thea during the siege. He stopped her from getting absolutely murdered, but Thea does not know that it was him who did that. He says that Thea doesn't know that he's alive. Okay, love the lying that's going on right here. Can you trust a word this man says? No. At a cafe called The Grind and Jolt, Oliver tells Thea that Malcolm is still alive. She acts shocked and stunned, like this is news to her. And Oliver's like, Thea, don't worry. He's probably not going to try to contact you since he hasn't already. And Thea's like, woohoo, dodged a bullet. I absolutely do not want that guy in my life. No shot. In the Arrow Cave, Oliver reveals to Nyssa that the reason that he did not kill Malcolm is because Malcolm is Thea's real father. This is news to Nyssa. The League of Assassins did not know about Thea being related to Malcolm. Oliver's like, yep, that's why I didn't kill him. Oliver also tells Nyssa that he met up with Malcolm and Malcolm swore to him that he did not kill Sara. And Nyssa's like, you believe that? Listen, I don't give a fuck whose dad he is. He killed Sara. I am going to murder him. And the rest of Team Arrow is on Team Nyssa. They're like, yeah, Malcolm should probably die. In Hong Kong, Oliver, overcome with curiosity, puts the flash drive that he stole from the terrorist into Akio's laptop, and after reading its contents, he immediately runs up to Maseo and he's like, I need to talk to Waller. Nyssa kidnaps Thea and then sets off a smoke signal alerting Malcolm that Nyssa has kidnapped Thea. Nyssa has Thea tied up. Thea is acting stupid and confused. She says that she doesn't know that Malcolm's alive and she doesn't know who Nyssa is, okay? One of those two things is true. Malcolm does show up. Thea is freed. She immediately runs away. Oliver also shows up. They all have this big fight where Oliver is protecting Malcolm from Nyssa. This fight ends with Oliver letting Malcolm go and Nyssa being pissed off about it. In the Arrow Cave, Nyssa punches Oliver in the face.
I may have deserved that.
You deserve worse.
And she's like, you have made an enemy of me tonight. Me and the whole fucking league. Oliver is like, as long as Malcolm Merlyn is in my city, I will protect him. Felicity shows up and she's like, what did I miss? Because remember, Felicity was in Central City with Barry Allen during this entire episode. In Hong Kong, Oliver confronts Amanda Waller about the information that was on that flash drive. He knows that Amanda Waller was the one who was behind General Fire's attack of the plane in season 1. Remember that creepy British guy who was trying to destabilize China's economy? Turns out that was just a cover for Amanda Waller's real target. The reason Amanda Waller wanted to blow up that plane so bad was to kill one person who just so happened to be on it. Who? Chen Na Wei. Chen Na Wei is also in Hong Kong. Amanda Waller wants her dead. Before Nyssa leaves for the League of Assassins, she pays Laurel one last visit. Laurel is at the boxing place? What do you call that? Boxing dojo? And Nyssa shows up and she's like, hey, I just wanted to tell you that you're actually not unworthy of Sarah's jacket. I think you're pretty worthy now. Thea and Roy are talking. She asks him to be her completely platonic assistant manager at the club, okay, because she is opening the club back up again. She then gets a call from Malcolm, who she pretends is one of her investors, and she informs him that Oliver is still completely in the dark. He has no idea about anything. At the League of Assassins, Nyssa speaks to her father, Ra's al Ghul. She tells him what Oliver did, how he's protecting Malcolm Merlyn, enemy of the League, and Ra's al Ghul is like, this simply will not do. We must wage war on Oliver Queen. But it's time that I introduce you to Ra's al Ghul. Here he is. He is in fact the main villain of this season. End screen. The stats for this episode: the character with the most dramatic pauses was Oliver. He had 76. The character with the most quips was a tie between Oliver and Thea. They both had 8. The character I laughed at the most was Malcolm. I laughed at him 7 times. And there was only 1 kill this episode. It was for Oliver in Hong Kong. Episode 5, The Secret Origin of Felicity Smoak. If you guys watched my past videos, you probably remember that I was keeping tabs on the Felicity lore, okay? This is the episode where we really get into it. So let's do that! This episode starts with 3 different concurrent training sessions. Oliver and Roy, they're in the Arrow Cave, they're doing a little fight. Laurel and Ted, they're at the boxing ring, they're doing a little fight. Thea and Malcolm. And Thea is like, how do normal people spend their mornings? XD, we're so worky. So how do normal people spend their mornings? I don't know. Let's check in with Felicity, who is allegedly a normal person. She is following a workout video, doing some crunches, having a little sweat. She's in her pajama pants. The doorbell rings. Ring, ring. She's in the middle of brushing her teeth. Who walks in? Ray Palmer. That's not normal. Billionaires don't walk into normal people's homes unannounced on a Tuesday. But okay, so Ray is here, and he starts blabbing about his new idea for what he wants to do with Queen Consolidated. And then somebody else shows up at Felicity's house completely unannounced. Who is it? It's her mom! Guys, y'all are not ready to meet Donna Smoak. She is the moment. She's everything that I wanted her to be, and she is absolutely not the person that you would expect to be Felicity's mom. She has this big curly blonde hair. She is wearing a, like, super tight blue dress. It's giving. She slays in every department. Miss Donna Smoak is an icon. She comes into Felicity's house completely unannounced, like, girls' day! Like, she is here. She took a trip to Starling to hang out with Felicity. Felicity had no idea she was coming, okay? Because Donna is bad with technology. Donna did not send a text to Felicity telling her she was coming. She typed the text. She just didn't send it. Ray Palmer gives Donna a new watch, a new prototype smartwatch that he made. Says that it essentially will replace your computer. So cool, so fun. Donna mistakenly thinks that Ray and Felicity are in a relationship, but they put that to bed real quick. No, that's just my boss. He just shows up at my house randomly. We get our first ever Felicity Smoak flashback. I bet you wanted this. Felicity is in college, and girl looks different. She is in her emo era in college. She has this long brown hair. She's wearing all black. I did draw emo Felicity. Here she is. Yeah. She is now a permanent fixture because there's really no place on the board for her, but like y'all need to know that she exists. In this flashback in college, emo Felicity is hanging out with her boyfriend and her other friend. His name's Myron. The boyfriend's name is Cooper. The roommate's name is Myron. And Felicity and Cooper are hacking in to some government website using a super virus that Felicity coded herself because she is just so... She's just so talented like that. Should point out, Felicity is not the one who hacks into this government organization. It is Cooper. He wants to erase student loan debt. Slay. Felicity pulls the plug on that because erasing all of that student loan debt, that's kind of a crime. Perhaps it's a crime. Felicity doesn't want to go to jail for making the super virus, and she doesn't want him to go to jail either. And she also doesn't want their roommate, Myron, here to be an accessory and also go to jail. So she pulls the plug on that. Cooper's pissed off about this, but it's for his own good. Thea is moving into a new fancy-ass apartment. Oliver is like, girl, I know you don't have the money for that, okay? I bought your investor bullshit, but what is this? Where are you getting money for this loft? And Thea admits that she has access to Malcolm Merlin's estate. He's dead. She's the last living relative. Therefore, she gets the money. Oliver, mad, he's like, it's blood money, Thea. And Thea doesn't really seem to care. Oliver is worried, however, that because Thea took Malcolm's money, Malcolm might come out of the woodwork and try and, introduce himself to her. You know what I'm saying? Thea does not seem concerned by this. There's a massive citywide power outage that's happening, orchestrated by this hacktivist group called Brother Eye, because Big Brother was taken. Title screen. Felicity, she's still got stuff to do, okay? This Brother Eye attack, that's her thing. She's got to work on some leads. She's got to figure out how to stop these guys. But Donna's in town, so she can't tell her mom that she's working with the Green Arrow to stop, evil people in the city. That's not something she can say. She brings Donna to the club. Donna meets John Diggle, who brought baby Sara, so they give Donna baby Sara to, keep her busy, while the three of them, Felicity, Diggle, and Oliver, go into the basement and do Arrow stuff. Something that's very funny that happened in this scene, Oliver tells Diggle that he doesn't want baby Sara in the Arrow cave because he doesn't feel comfortable with her down there, and Diggle's just like, who's she gonna tell? In another Felicity flashback, we see her and Cooper walking down the street talking about how hacking into that government organization to erase student loans is a bad idea. Cooper's like, no one's gonna arrest me. Don't worry about it. They'll never trace me. They traced him, and the cops pull up right on the street, and they arrest Cooper. Felicity is doing some typing on her computer, and she discovers that she can't defeat Brother Eye because the virus they're using to infect the city servers, it's her super virus that she wrote all those years ago in college. Uh-oh. Felicity explains the lore. In college, she was in a group of hacktivists with her boyfriend Cooper and her other friend Myron. She says that there's no way that Cooper did this. So the only other person with access to the virus would have been Myron, so they start looking into that. In another part of the Felicity flashback, she visits Cooper in jail. He tells her that he already took the blame for the whole thing. He told the cops that he wrote the super virus and it was all his idea and nobody else was involved. Felicity is a little upset and she feels kind of guilty because she's the one who made the super virus. But Cooper's like, listen, it doesn't make sense for both of us to take the fall. Let me just take this one for you, girl. I love you. Lance knows that Laurel is keeping something from her, and he asks her if she'd like to share with the class. Laurel does not share the information that she's hiding from Lance, but he's like, okay, if you can't talk about this with me, you need to find somebody who you can talk about it with and talk to them, because whatever this is that you're not telling me, it's clearly eating you up inside, and you're making some terrible fucking life choices recently, Laurel. So please, go talk to somebody. Team Arrow goes after Myron, but Myron is not behind the attack. Felicity's like, oh no. Then now we have absolutely no leads. And Oliver's like, okay, no, we do have a lead. It's Cooper. And then Felicity reveals that Cooper is dead. He hung himself in prison the day before his sentencing. Felicity and her mom have a big argument because Donna came all the way to Starling City to hang out with Felicity, and Felicity has been avoiding her this entire time. Felicity has been acting like Donna is this big inconvenience, and they have this big argument where Felicity's like, I'm sorry that I don't dress like a porn star, and that I have a real job, and that I'm nothing like you. I'm sorry, okay?
I'm sorry I have an actual job. I'm sorry that I don't dress like a porn star. Which I realize is a compliment to you.
And Donna's like, no, Felicity, I'm sorry. And she turns the mood from angry to sad real quick.
I'm not as smart as you, Felicity, or your father. I know that. Maybe I wasn't always the mother you wanted, but I was always there.
Donna is like, Felicity, after your dad left us, girl, I was devastated and I was terrified that you were also gonna leave me too one day because you are so much like your father and absolutely nothing like me. I didn't want you to leave me, but it seems like you already have. All we know about Felicity's dad is that he's good with technology, he abandoned the family, and he is a criminal. So, In the Arrow Cave, Oliver gets really sentimental for absolutely no reason. He tells Felicity that family is precious and she needs to apologize to her mom because you only get one family and life is precious and blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting here watching this like, hey, Oliver, you know what else is precious? Your body count. Felicity takes Oliver's advice, apologizes to her mom. Her mom reveals that she's only in Starling City because apparently she got an email saying that she has free plane tickets to Starling City. How awesome is that? Nope, it was a setup. Two guys kick down the door and they kidnap Felicity and Donna. Turns out our old pal Cooper is less dead than we thought. Cooper reveals that the government had him fake his death because they wanted him to work for the NSA. So he faked his death, worked for the NSA, and now that he's done working for the NSA, he wanted to reunite with Felicity and continue their hacktivism using the super virus. Okay, but Felicity's like, I'm not interested in helping you, Cooper. So he forces her to do some evil hacking for him because even though he worked for the NSA, Felicity is still somehow a better hacker and she's just better at computers than he is. Felicity does the evil hack and she gets handcuffed to the desk with the computer on it, and then Cooper leaves, and then Donna and Felicity have a little moment where she brings up the smartwatch that Ray Palmer gave her at the start of the episode, and Felicity's like, wait a minute. I can use the Wi-Fi transmission from your watch to send a distress call to Team Arrow. Oliver arrives at the place where Felicity is being held. There is a motion sensor machine gun that Oliver has to deal with. He deals with it. Felicity, turns out, does not need Oliver's help to escape. She is able to disarm Cooper herself. Oliver and Felicity's relationship is looking a little bit better than where we last left it off. They are back to the flirty vibes. Laurel takes her father's advice and she tells Ted that Sara is dead and nobody else can know about it, and he is like, thank you for your candor. And then they start boxing again. Oliver apologizes to Thea. She invites him to live with her in her new loft, which I will be referring to now as the Queen Loft. And they are, of course, being watched through the window by, just guessed, who else will be watching them through the window? Felicity officially apologizes to her mom and she takes the day off to hang out with her, so that's cute. Roy is having a nightmare that he killed Sara. End screen. The stats for this episode, the character with the most dramatic pauses was Felicity. She had 89. The character with the most quips was also Felicity. She had 16. And the character that I laughed at the most was Felicity as well. I laughed at her 4 times. I have 1 kill here counted for Roy. He shot a guy in the throat with an arrow. Trank arrow or not, that guy is dead. Episode 6, Guilty. Roy, as the title implies, is feeling a little bit guilty because he thinks that the nightmare that he had about him killing Sara is actually some kind of repressed memory. Roy, because of this, is kind of off his game when he and Team Arrow go to fight the latest bad guy. Oliver kind of notices that Roy doesn't have his High School Musical head in the game. So he tells Roy to take a couple of days off, okay? Just collect himself, and then come back when he is collected. Title screen. The convoluted villain of the week plot this episode has a lot going on. All you need to know about the villain this week is that they're killing people. There's a lot of dead bodies, and we're not really sure why. In Hong Kong, Oliver and Maceo are chasing down a delivery man who works for Chen Na Wei. During the chase, the delivery man gets hit by a car and dies, and they discover that the thing they were looking for, he had like a flash drive or something, he stashed it somewhere along the way while they were chasing him. Maceo thinks that Oliver might have seen him stash this flash drive, but Oliver does not remember. Oliver is tracking down a lead for this week's murder case, and he finds another dead body inside of Ted's gym. This guy is dead, hanging upside down like a punching bag, so Oliver immediately assumes that Ted is behind these murders. However, that's not possible because Ted was with Laurel having Korean tacos. Roy asks Felicity to check his blood for maracuru residue. Felicity tests his blood. There's no maracuru in there. Roy admits to Felicity that he wanted her to check that because he was having very realistic, almost memory-esque dreams of him killing Sara, which sets Felicity off, and she starts looking into the evidence because what if he did kill Sara? Oliver and Laurel have an argument. Oliver does not want her to hang out with Ted anymore. Laurel is like, no, Ted is a perfectly reasonable guy. He just deals with a lot of hardcore clients come to his gym. That guy that was strung up in there could be anyone. In Hong Kong, we learn a couple of things. First, this is when I discovered that Maceo's name was Maceo, because up until this point, I didn't know what his name was. I just kept referring to him as the man in my notes. Like, I only discovered that his name was Maceo through the subtitles, by the way. I don't know how I missed it. Like, they must have said his name earlier, right? He also asks Tatsu to help Oliver try and remember what he saw during the chase scene. Felicity does some Googling for Oliver in the Arrow Cave. They discover that Ted Grant, the boxer that Laurel hangs out with, used to be a prize fighter called Wildcat. They learn that all of the victims that were killed by this murderer were murdered by a left-handed attacker using brass knuckles. Ted is a lefty, so Oliver still thinks that Ted is somehow behind all of the murders. Oliver put a tracker on Ted, so he follows Ted to his secret lair. Okay, Ted has a secret lair. Why? Because Ted wasn't just a boxer called Wildcat, he was a vigilante. Ted explains that he stopped being a vigilante after one thing led to another and he accidentally killed a drug dealer during a fight. He says he hung up the vigilante towel and he hasn't been a vigilante since. He says that he feels guilty for getting away with the murder. He says that he is being set up. Somebody wants people to think that he is committing these heinous murders, but it's not him. Ted and the Arrow team up to find this killer. They go to the bar where the drug dealer was murdered, and it's very clear that Ted knows who the attacker is, but he is not sharing that information with Oliver for some reason. The real killer gets away, and Ted ends up getting arrested for the murders. Roy has a team meeting, including Laurel, and he tells them all that he thinks that he killed Sara. Felicity backs up this claim with all of her evidence that she gathered. In Hong Kong, Miss Girl Tatsu helps Oliver discover where the guy stashed the flash drive by using guided meditation. At the police department, Laurel is questioning Ted, and she gets the real truth from him. The person that actually killed all of those guys is Isaac. Isaac was his partner back when he was a vigilante, and Isaac was actually the one who killed the drug dealer to start with. Diggle tells Oliver that he needs to abandon Roy because of what Roy did to Sara. Diggle flipped real fast on Roy. Isaac confronts Ted. He kidnaps Ted and Laurel. This fight ends with a car chase. Roy is the one who apprehends Isaac, and then Oliver tells Roy that he will never abandon him. In the Arrow Cave, Oliver does guided meditation with Roy, and Roy discovers that the memory dream that he was having wasn't actually about him killing Sara. It was about him killing the cop from season 2. Oliver says that he didn't want to tell Roy about him killing the cop because he did it while he was under the influence of Marikuru, and that wasn't actually him, but Roy still feels immensely guilty for this and is kind of mad that Oliver didn't tell him. Okay, that's a theme of this show. Oliver keeping a secret, and then the person who the secret was about gets mad when it's revealed. That's kind of like the whole show. In Hong Kong, they find where this flash drive was left. It contains a message to talk to some guy. I forgot what the guy's name is. For some reason, I didn't write it down. Back in Starling City, Isaac is being transported to jail. He gets attacked by a woman with bright red hair. She shoots him with a bow and arrow, and she says, "I'm Cupid, stupid." End screen. The stats for this episode: the character with the most dramatic pauses was Oliver. He had 66. The character with the most quips was also Oliver. He had 7. The character that I laughed at the most was a tie between Laurel and Oliver. I laughed at them both twice. And the character with the most kills was Isaac. He killed a whopping 17 people. Episode 7. Draw back your bow. We start with a flashback to the siege. We see a woman, and she is being attacked by Marikuru soldiers. She gets rescued by the Arrow. This woman is Cupid. The Arrow and Lance check out the dead body that Cupid left for them. He is dressed up like the Arrow, and Lance suspects that this killer is trying to get the Arrow's attention. In Hong Kong, the most filler shit happens. Maseo has to go meet with a contact. He leaves, and he tells Oliver and Tatsu that he should be back in like an hour. Felicity at work walks in on Ray while he is doing pull-ups on that fuck-ass bar thing that Oliver has in the Arrow Cave. 2 questions. 1, why does he have that in his office? And 2, how did Felicity not see that he was doing that through the glass window? Like, why is she shocked when she walks in the room? She should have seen that from the moment she got up on the elevator. Ray invites Felicity on a totally platonic business dinner date at a fancy restaurant. He also gives her a totally platonic blue couture dress to wear to the totally platonic business dinner date. Felicity is like, there's nothing platonic about couture. And she's right, but she does not turn down the invitation because she wants to wear that dress, okay? She is just a girl. In the Arrow Cave, Oliver and Diggle catch a broadcast where Ray Palmer announces that he's renaming Queen Consolidated to Palmer Technologies. Palmer Tech for short. Also in this broadcast, Felicity is standing next to him. We still don't really know what her job is. It was never stated, but like she must be very important to be on this broadcast with Ray Palmer. Oliver discovers an address written inside one of the arrowheads from the victim's body. So he goes to this address. At the address, he finds like a candlelit room. The walls are covered in news articles about all of the things the Arrow and the Hood has done. There's rose petals. And then there's a phone, of course, and the phone rings. Cupid's on the other line. She says that she is ready to meet up with him, and she has another victim ready for him to kill when he gets there. Oliver's not exactly happy about that. Title screen. Also, the title screen for this episode is a red heart arrowhead instead of the regular arrowhead, which is very cool and fun. I love it when they change up the title card. Felicity begins some Googling on this Cupid person, but she does tell Oliver that she needs the night off to go to totally platonic business dinner with Ray Palmer. In Hong Kong, Maseo does not come back in an hour. In fact, it's been like 5 hours. So Oliver and Tatsu agree to team up and go find him. Thea is auditioning DJs for her club. Everyone is sucking so far. There's like a long line out the door of people waiting to audition. Some guy, long blonde hair, struts in, and he's like, when do I start? And Thea's like, you have to audition. Like, you have to wait in line like everybody else. Okay, bitch. And he's like, I don't audition. And she's like, then you don't get the job. And he's like, oh, we'll see about that, princess. Ew, I hate this character. He's my least favorite character this whole season. Get him out of here. Tomato, tomato, tomato. Boo! Felicity has uncovered some info on Cupid. Her name is Carrie Cutter. She is an ex-policewoman. She is familiar looking to Oliver because she has been at all of his crime scenes. She has been stalking the Arrow. They also figure out that she's keeping her latest hostage in a greenhouse. At the greenhouse, Roy and the Arrow get there, and they confront Carrie. It ends with the Arrow telling Carrie that he is simply not interested in her. They save the hostage, and Carrie gets away. Diggle informs Oliver that he is not the first person that Carrie stalked. Apparently, when she was a police officer, she was also deeply in love with her partner. And by in love, I mean watching him from the bushes. So that's fun. She had to go get a psych evaluation because of this stalking situation. And listen, maybe Carrie Cutter's the most relatable bitch here. Or maybe she's not. Diggle and Oliver have a chat about Oliver's relationship with Felicity. John Diggle is the #1 Felicity shipper. He tells Oliver that he can tell that Oliver is a little upset that Felicity is hanging out with Palmer now. Oliver should go tell Felicity how he feels about her. Oliver is like, no. The Arrow goes to chat with Carrie's psychologist, the one that diagnosed her after that psych evaluation. And this actress, Slade, boots the house down. She ate every line. She was gobbling up her screen time.
If you'll permit a professional observation, you could use a little therapy yourself.
The psychiatrist tells Oliver that he needs to give Carrie the attention that she craves, okay? And then she also says that he should probably also get therapy.
gives you that impression?
You mean apart from the mask and the Robin Hood costume?
In Hong Kong, Tatsu tells Oliver that the reason she left Japan is because her family upset some powerful men. Felicity puts on her stunning couture dress. She's slaying it. She's eating it up. Ray gives her an accessory to go with it. A $10 million necklace. I'm impressed and flabbergasted at how Felicity continues to bag nothing but billionaires or terrorists. Carrie kills another man, and she discovers that the Arrow Cave is at Verdant, the club. Uh-oh. In Hong Kong, Oliver and Tatsu get to the dock. They head out to start fighting people. Tatsu is a master swordswoman. She slices through these men like butter. Not even an issue for her. Guy informs her that a group of Argus agents were killed here over an hour ago. The DJ Thea hired is awful. Absolutely awful. The worst, most atrocious music is coming out of the speakers at the club. Everyone hates it. Luckily, Bitch Boy McFuck shows up and he saves the day. He plays a remix of that song that's like, I gotta stay high all the time. At Totally Platonic Fancy Business Dinner Date, Felicity is helping Ray close out the deal with whoever this guy is. He wants to buy this man's mine, and this man does not want to sell the mine, and Felicity gives this big, moving speech about how Ray Palmer is such a great guy, and he should totally sell the mine to Ray. Carrie Cutter is at the club. Oliver agrees to meet with her somewhere else. They go somewhere else. Oliver tells Carrie that he cannot be in a relationship with her because he is a lone wolf. He simply cannot be with anyone, okay? It's not just her, it's the world. She gets mad, handcuffs him to a train track. The train is approaching. Oliver breaks his wrist to get out of the handcuffs, and he gets away from the train. They capture Carrie Cutter and turn her in. Diggle reveals to Oliver that Carrie Cutter is now a part of Task Force X. Diggle once again is like, Oliver, go tell Felicity how you feel, please. In Hong Kong, turns out Maseo is not dead. He's fine. So this entire Hong Kong plotline, stupid and useless. We learned nothing. DJ Megadouche kisses Thea at the end of the night before he leaves. At Palmer Tech, the building with the glass walls where you should be able to see through into every room you get to, so it's absolutely not shocking what's going on in there whatsoever, and yet multiple characters are still shocked when they walk into the room and they see things they weren't expecting to see somehow. At this building, Ray and Felicity kiss after Totally Platonic Business Dinner Date. While they're kissing, Oliver rounds the bend and is shocked to see that they're kissing, even though he could have seen that from the other end of the hall because the walls are made of glass! This is a reverse radioactive moment for Oliver, so he leaves defeated before Felicity gets the chance to see him. Ray apologizes because he told Felicity that he was going to keep the night platonic. Something tells me Felicity doesn't mind. Ray is on the phone with some guy talking about some shit called Dwarf Star Alloy. Don't care. He stands inside of his office looking at a hologram of something that is called the ATOM suit. And in the last scene of this episode, a guy with a boomerang kills a man. End screen. The stats for this episode. The character with the most dramatic pauses was Oliver. He had 38. The character with the most quips was Felicity. She had 6. The character I laughed at the most was Ray. I laughed at him twice. And the character with the most kills was Tatsu. She killed 5 people. Episode 8. Hello? Hey, bestie! Are you? It's me. You from the Flash video. Oh, I remember you now. That outfit is so cute, by the way. OMG, I know. It's definitely our best one. Don't tell Riddler Bandit that, though. She'll get upset. Riddler Bandit? The version of us in the Halloween costume, of course. Yeah, no, Riddler she's Bandit. A weirdo, but that nickname's pretty terrible. Well, I like the name. Nerd Bandit actually came up with them all. She has the nicknames for all of us. Nerd Bandit? What the hell is this? She's the one who helped me get here, of course. Since I'm here, I thought I could help transition into the crossover episode. Okay, they're all yours, bestie. Have at it. Slay. So, here's the basics. This crossover event between Arrow and The Flash is a 2-parter. The first part happened in The Flash, and this second part that we're about to get into happens on Arrow. Flash centers on Barry Allen, this guy right down here. He wears a red suit, runs really fast, calls himself The Flash. Barry Allen works with the Star Labs gang, who consist of Caitlin and Cisco. Cisco and Caitlin are scientists, and in episode 8 of season 1 of The Flash, video linked in the description if you want to watch it, they teamed up with Team Arrow to help track down Boomerang Man. Felicity also asked them to help her analyze the blood that was on the arrow that killed Sara. In part 1 of the crossover, Oliver had a run-in with Miss Girl. This was the woman from season 2 that got pregnant with Oliver's baby, and she got bribed to leave the city. Her baby is alive, and it very well could be Oliver's. And Cisco and Caitlin learned about Oliver's true identity, not because he told them, but because some freak in a wheelchair outed him. I'll get out of your hair now. It was good seeing you, Arrow Bandit. I am not okay with any of those nicknames. Episode 8, The Brave and the Bold. Oliver, Diggle, and Roy suit up to go find Captain Boomerang. They got an address from the team at Star Labs, and they pull up, but Captain Boomerang is not there. Who is there? Argus agents, and they tell the Arrow that he needs to fuck off and not get involved with this issue because Captain Boomerang is an Argus matter. Title screen! And this time it's not an arrow, it's a lightning bolt. In Hong Kong, Amanda Waller tasks Oliver with torturing a man for information about where a bomb is located within the city. Oliver is not exactly excited to be torturing people for Amanda Waller. Cisco and Caitlin show up at Palmer Tech to see Felicity. They want to help her get to the bottom of the blood on the arrowhead situation. They want to see the arrow cave. They want to see the arrow mobile.
Do you guys have an arrowmobile?
They get to the arrow cave, and Cisco, he starts touching everything. Touch, 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 fingers all over every little thing. Oliver's not happy about this. He keeps telling Cisco to keep his grubby little mitts to himself. And Oliver is also very upset that Cisco is calling this room the Arrow Cave, and that everybody else is also starting to call it the Arrow Cave. He's not happy about that, but I am.
Since when did we start selling admission to the Arrow Cave?
You see what you've done?
Boomerang Man shows up at Argus and starts throwing his deadly boomerangs all around that building. Many people get hurt, injured, and killed by Boomerang Man in this scene. And in the Arrow Cave, they hear about this attack because Diggle calls. And then they're like, oh my god, Oliver's not gonna get there fast enough. But you know who will? The Flash shows up at Argus and he helps take down Boomerang Man. However, Boomerang Man gets away and a lot of Argus agents die. Lila, Diggle, Oliver, and Barry are all fine. And now they're all here. It's a crossover, baby. Oliver tells Lila that the only safe place for her now is the Arrow Cave because Argus has been compromised. And Lila is giving some lore on Boomerang Man. She tells the team that Captain Boomerang was a part of Task Force X, the Suicide Squad. All of the members are prisoners from Argus's prison, and they each have bombs implanted in their necks in case they go rogue or something else happens and they have to kill all of them. Well, in this case, the mission went awry, and Lila made the call to sanitize the Suicide Squad, killing every single team member except for Captain Boomerang because his bomb implant malfunctioned. So Boomerang survived, but now he's after Lila because Lila literally tried to kill him. So the Arrow Cave right now is getting pretty crowded. Who is down there? Let's take roll call. Cisco, Caitlin, and Felicity, they're chilling in there, and then Oliver, Diggle, Lila, and Roy show up, and then Barry runs in, Flash suit on, but hood off. Diggle is like, what the hell, bro? Lila doesn't know your identity, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, oopsie, I thought since you two were married, you would have just told her. Like, I just assumed that you yapped, Diggle, sorry. And Diggle's like, I keep secrets for a living man. So now Lila knows that Barry Allen is the Flash, and she didn't know that before. So, good call, Barry. Barry really wants to help with this Boomerang Man case, but Oliver does not want Barry involved because Barry's a freaky little boy. And this mission's for men. Barry insists that he has been following Oliver's advice. Please let me help you. I promise I'll take a back seat. I promise you'll be in charge and I'll listen to you. I promise. Oliver and Barry go to SCPD because Captain Lance might have some intel on Boomerang Man. Lance recognizes Bart Allen, who got hit by a bus or something, because they worked together in season 2 of Arrow.
Bart Allen, right? You get hit by a bus or something?
Barry, it was lightning.
Laurel is also there, and she realizes that there's something sus about Bart Allen who got hit by a bus. Lance reveals to Barry and Oliver that the Bratva is somehow involved with Boomerang Man. Is it time for the Anatoly cameo? No. Where's Anatoly? There's no Anatoly to be found in season 3 of Arrow, and that is a shame. Oliver uses some leads from the Bratva to track down some more intel on Boomerang Man. He ends up finding a guy who supposedly works directly with Boomerang Man, and he tortures this guy to give up a phone. Barry is like, whoa, stop torturing this guy, bro. Barry and Oliver have an argument about morality. Okay, here's a part of that argument. When my friends told me that your tactics made you a criminal, I defended you. Because I thought we were supposed to be heroes. I thought we were supposed to be better than them. Barry, you live in Central City, where it's sunny all the time, and your enemies get cute nicknames. You're not in Central City. I live in a city where my best friend was murdered, where a woman that I love was shot full of arrows and sent tumbling off a rooftop, where my mother was murdered. So before you, my mother was murdered in front of me too. But I don't use that as an excuse to just torture whoever pisses me off. Well, I'm sorry, Barry. I'm not as emotionally mature as you. Oliver essentially tells Barry to run back to Kansas if he can't take the heat. Oliver and Amanda Waller Jr. have a little chat where they quote Amanda Waller. Some people deal only in extremes, and it would be naive to think that anything but extreme could stop them. Back in Hong Kong, Oliver is having a very hard time mustering up the stomach for torture. He's like, where is the bomb? And the guy just laughs at him, and then the bomb goes off. Diggle is not having a good time trying to wrap his head around Lila's seeming lack of a moral compass. He is very pissed off that Lila chose to kill everyone in Task Force X. Cisco is privy to this conversation, and he's just like, yeah, that sucks and all, but like, isn't it cool that metahumans exist and they're just running around in the world? How freaking cool is that? What's not so cool is that while all of the strong, able-bodied members of Team Arrow are out hunting for Boomerang Man snuck into the Arrow Cave when it was just Caitlin, Felicity, and Lila in there, starts shooting the place up, shoots Lila with a boomerang, and then runs out of there. So Felicity and Caitlin have to, do some emergency doctor shit on Lila just in the Arrow Cave. In Hong Kong, Waller and Oliver have a chat where she says that exact quote that him and Lila were quoting earlier about the people in the extremes and the extreme way you have to deal with them. How extreme. Waller is also like, Oliver, I brought you here for a reason. I know what you are capable of. I believe that if you just practice a little bit more, you're gonna be an excellent torturer. Cisco and Caitlin have a little chat with Roy where they realize that they have not been taking this whole crime-fighting vigilante thing seriously because all of their bad guys have cute little nicknames and they wear fun colors and it's all just fun and games to them and they all have magical, wonderful magic powers. And it doesn't feel real to them, but suddenly, now it feels real. Oliver and Barry have a conversation where Oliver's like, this is all my fault. I feel like I'm losing my humanity, like, I am a terrible, horrible person. I have a jet black heart and there's a hurricane underneath it trying to keep us apart. Barry's like, no you're not, Oliver, like, you've been doing this for so long, fighting crime, doing all this vigilante stuff, and at the end of the day, you still want to be a good person, so there must be a light inside you. And then Felicity walks in the room, clearly supposed to be a physical representation of the light in Oliver's life, like, okay, CW. And Felicity's like, I found Boomerang Man. The team suit up to get Boomerang Man. During the confrontation between Oliver, Barry, and Boomerangs, Boomerang is like, yo, I planted 4 bombs around the city. He's Australian, by the way. You can't stop all the bombs, there's only one of you. You either get me or you get the bombs. Okay, but that problem is very quickly circumvented by the fact that Barry's here. So he just grabs some people from the Arrow Cave and he plops them down in front of the bombs and then they all disarm the bombs and they capture Boomerang Man. So that sucks. He really thought he ate Lila is in the hospital and Diggle asks him to marry her. Oliver shows Barry that there's an empty mannequin in the Arrow Cave now. Next time he's in town, he'll be able to hang his suit up on it. And then Cisco comes in and he's got a new cold gun with 10 times the cold and 10. He upgraded Oliver's little jacket, so now it's 30% lighter and can hold 15% more gear. Love it when they just throw in numbers. Captain Boomerang is cellmates with Slade Wilson on Leanne Yu jail. In Hong Kong, Amanda Waller introduces Oliver to his next torture victim. This is the guy that they were looking for, the guy that's in cahoots with Chen Na Wei. Running gag of this season where Oliver calls Chen Na Wei China White, and the other characters will always correct him. They'll be like, it's Chen Na Wei, you dumb fuck. But also, she goes by China White. Like, canonically, that's the name she goes by. So is Oliver wrong? The last scene of this episode is Barry and Oliver going to some fuck-ass warehouse, and they're like, we're gonna fight for real, and we're gonna prove which one of us would win in a real fight. And, it cuts to black, so we don't know who won the fight. My money's on Barry, though, because, he's so OP. End screen. The character with the most dramatic pauses was Oliver. He had 47. The character with the most quips was also Oliver. He had 10. And the character that I laughed at the most was Oliver. I laughed at him 5 times. Triple threat Oliver Queen. Captain Boomerang killed 15 people. Episode 9, The Climb. There's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Oliver is climbing up a snowy, cold mountain. He's not wearing gloves. 48 hours earlier, it is Christmas time. My question, why do both of the Christmas episodes in Arrow and Flash start with some weird shit and then a flashback to 48 hours earlier? What is up with that? Outside of the police station, the Arrow has left Lance a gift-wrapped present, some guys that he can arrest. Lance comments that the Arrow is the closest thing he's had to a partner in years. 3 seasons deep, and Lance still does not know who the Arrow is. That's kind of impressive. Some dude dressed in typical League of Assassin attire shows up to fight the Arrow. He beats the Arrow's ass, kidnaps him, and then brings him to some place. At this place, Nyssa is there. And Nyssa is like, hey, Oliver, remember when you said you were gonna find Sarah's killer? What happened to that? Why haven't you found the killer? Oliver's like, listen, I just need some more time. I'm working on it. Nyssa is like, I don't give a fuck. You said you were gonna find Sarah's killer. It's been how long now? Still no luck on the killer. So, if you do not find Sarah's killer and bring him to me in the next 48 hours, I will come to this city and I'll start killing people every day until you find the killer. That's how we do it at the League. The guy who kidnapped Oliver is standing next to Nyssa. He pulls his fucking hood down. It's Maseo! Oliver's like, OMG, Maseo? And Maseo's like, Maseo is dead. I'm Sarab. Okay, slay Sarab. Title screen. At the cemetery, Thea finds Laurel there, staring at Sarah's grave, and she's confused, because Sarah's not dead. And Laurel's like, Thea, you sweet summer child, Sarah is dead. So now Thea knows that Sarah's dead, and Thea swears to Laurel that she won't tell anyone, including Oliver. The lies keep compounding. At Palmer Tech, Ray wants to talk about that little kiss that he shared with Felicity, and Felicity does not want to talk about the little kiss. She would like to pretend it didn't happen and just go on as professionals. In the Arrow Cave, Oliver catches everyone on the team up to speed about the League killing people if they don't present the killer in 48 hours. In Hong Kong, we finally learn what this whole thing is about. Okay, this is a big episode for revealing vital information about the plot. Chen Na Wei and her goon squad are after something called the Alpha Omega virus. This virus is a bioweapon, and just one vial of it is enough to wipe out an entire city. They DNA tested the Arrow blood. I don't know how DNA tests work. I don't claim to know that. The DNA test has 13 different criteria for matching the DNA. Oliver's DNA checks 12 out of the 13 boxes. It's Oliver. Oliver killed Sarah. What? No, he didn't. He would remember if he did that. Oliver's like, oh my god, no, this is a setup. Malcolm Merlyn planted my blood on those arrows to set me up because he wants me and the League at war. He wants the League to kill me because he's a fucking psychopath. So Oliver and the team start looking into Malcolm Merlyn's tracks. Where was he the night of the murder? In Hong Kong, Oliver and Maceo go looking for the omega half of the alpha omega virus. When they get to the lab, the virus is gone. Dinah Lance is home for Christmas, and she wants to know where Sara is. Felicity discovers a private plane, probably owned by Malcolm Merlyn, that took a very odd flight path and ended up in Starling City on the day of Sara's murder. The Arrow goes to talk to Malcolm Merlyn's private jet pilot, and he provides the Arrow with some footage of the night of Sara's murder, like footage from the terminal. On that footage, they see Malcolm getting off his little private plane, along with Thea. They were both in Starling City on the night of the murder. Felicity's like, OMG, that means Thea killed Sara. And Oliver is like, shut the fuck up, bitch. Oliver refuses to believe that Thea is capable of murder. Ray and Felicity are at Palmer Tech, and he reveals to her a part of his dramatic backstory. That during the siege, he and his fiancée Anna were in Starling City, and they were attacked by a group of Marikuru soldiers. Anna was killed by one of the Marikuru soldiers, and then he tells Felicity that he swore to himself that Anna would be the last woman he ever kissed. Oliver goes to talk to Thea. He wants answers. He's like, Thea, be honest with me. She says that she was with Malcolm in Corto, Maltese, only getting to know him because he's the last family that she has. No, we never came back to Starling. I was in Corto, Maltese the whole time. Dinah Lance is an empath, alright? And she knows. She can just feel it in her heart and soul that Sara is dead. And Laurel's like, yeah, she is, okay? But Dad doesn't know. You cannot tell him. Oliver still doesn't believe that Thea could possibly have been the one to kill Sara, so he dresses up like the Arrow and he confronts Thea in a more direct manner. She fights back, kicking him in her sparkly little pants. And then she jumps out a window. Malcolm goes to chat with Oliver, and he's like, I heard the Arrow visited my daughter earlier tonight. Care to explain yourself? And Oliver's like, no. Care to explain yourself? And he does. You may have noticed a couple episodes ago, I put this Malcolm Merlyn's 3-step master plan thing on the board and haven't mentioned it. It's time to mention it. Malcolm reveals step 1 of his evil master plan is that Thea did kill Sara. He drugged his daughter with a plant called Voltura that makes people extremely suggestible to suggestion. And, bonus points, they forget about everything they did while they were under the influence of this plant. How convenient. Malcolm has a video recording of this happening. He has a video on his phone of Thea murdering Sara in 4K. Step 2 of his master plan. Oliver to go to the League of Assassins and admit to Ra's al Ghul that he killed Sara. Because if Oliver doesn't confess that he killed Sara, Malcolm will show Ra's al Ghul the video of Thea killing Sara. And Oliver doesn't want poor sweet Thea to be killed by the League. The third step of Malcolm Merlyn's 3-step evil plan is after Oliver admits that he killed Sara, League custom is for him and Roz to have one final last trial by combat. The plan is that Oliver will win this fight, and when Oliver kills Ra's al Ghul, all of the debts that they have will be erased. Malcolm would no longer be wanted by the League, and Thea would no longer be in danger of being killed for killing Sara. What happens if Oliver loses the death match against Ra's al Ghul? Well, absolutely nothing good. In Hong Kong, Oliver and Maceo are discussing how the virus could have possibly been taken, and then Chen Na-wei goes to their house and starts an epic fight with Tatsu. Oliver meets with Ra's al Ghul, and he admits that he killed Sara. and then they get ready for the trial by combat. Maseo explains that Oliver has 12 hours to get all of his affairs in order, and then he has to climb up a fuck-ass mountain and then meet with Roz at the top of the mountain for the fight. This mountain is like neutral territory, sacred ground for the League. That's where all of the death matches are. So that's where bro was climbing to at the start of the episode. Dinah and Laurel are hanging out at Sarah's grave, and Laurel swears to her mother that she will do whatever it takes to get revenge for Sarah's murder. In Hong Kong, Oliver and Maseo discover that Chen Na-wei has kidnapped Tatsu. Felicity asks Ray, "What's the real reason that you bought Queen Consolidated? Okay, give it to me straight." And Ray reveals the Atom suit, and he wants her help to make the suit a reality, because he can't figure it all out on his own. Oliver says goodbye to the team, and he says an especially long goodbye to Felicity. He tells her that he loves her, and she says, "Please kill him. Please kill Roz, please." Oliver climbs the fuck-ass mountain with no gloves on his freezing little hands, and he makes it to the top, and Ra's al Ghul and Maseo are there. Roz and Oliver take off their shirts, because why not? Love that. We need more bare-chested men on the screen at all times. Like, there's always got to be a guy with no shirt, or it's not an episode of Arrow. Oliver grabs 2 swords, and they start fighting. And Roz styles on Oliver, okay? For the first half of the fight, Ra's al Ghul has both of his hands behind his back, and he just, swings out of the way of all of Oliver's blows with absolute ease and finesse. And then he gets his hands on one of Oliver's swords, and then they start a proper epic sword fight. And this ends with Ra's al Ghul sliding his sword all the way through Oliver's chest, pulling it out, and then pushing Oliver off the side of the mountain. Big rip for Oliver. Stats for this episode: Oliver had 48 dramatic pauses. The character with the most quips was Felicity. She had 3. The character that I laughed at the most is a tie between Oliver and Malcolm. I laughed at both of them twice. And the character with the most kills was Roz. He killed 6 people. Episode 10, Left Behind. We start with a car chase. Lance is involved, even though he is not supposed to be out in the field. But luckily, Team Arrow is here to save the day. Roy is in his little red outfit. Felicity is behind the computer. And then who is wearing the green suit? Well, that'd be John Diggle, of course, but he's not very good with a bow and arrow, so he's got a gun. Title screen. We learn that it has been 3 days since Oliver went to die on the mountain, and they haven't heard any word yet. They don't really know what's going on. Roy is like, "Hey, you ever consider that Oliver is dead?" And Felicity's like, "Don't you say that. He's just taking the long way home." In Hong Kong, Oliver and Maseo go to talk to Miss Amanda Waller, and she does not care that Tatsu has been kidnapped. She is not concerned with rescuing Tatsu at all. This pisses off Maseo. Amanda Waller is like, "Your mission now is to retrieve the alpha half of the alpha omega virus. Chen Na-wei has the omega virus, but the omega is harmless unless it's combined with the alpha side, okay? Another MacGuffin." So Amanda Waller wants them to destroy the alpha virus so that there's no chance that it could possibly combine with the omega. Ray is testing his bootleg Iron Man suit, and Felicity comes in and she's like, "Ray, have you ever considered that it's not a good idea to fight crime? Have you ever considered that maybe it'd be dangerous to put on a big metal suit and fly around the city and shoot people with Buzz Lightyear lasers?" And Ray is like, "Nope, didn't cross my mind. Hey, can you help me fix the circuitry on this gauntlet? I cannot get it to work." The criminal from the car chase is now at trial. His lawyer is trying to plead for a wrongful arrest because vigilantes were involved, and being arrested by a vigilante should not hold up in court. But Laurel is there, and she's like, "I have the gun with this dude's fingerprints all over it, so you want to tell me that's not going to hold up in court?" These criminals who have been involved in crimes over the last couple of days, they have all been working for some guy called Danny Brickwell. They've been silencing witnesses that are going to be called up during Danny Brickwell's trial. Oliver's corpse is still on the mountain, getting covered in snow, but what's this? Somebody shows up to retrieve the body. Thea is worried about Oliver. She has not heard from him in 3 days, so she asks dear old dad to look into it, and Malcolm agrees to do some digging. In Hong Kong, Oliver and Maseo try to break into the Hong Kong military's research lab. Oliver struggles a little bit to get through the window, and it is very funny. They manage to get the alpha virus out of the lab. Malcolm comes to the Arrow Cave and he's like, hey guys, have you heard anything about Oliver? Thea's been asking. And they're like, no, it's been kind of silent, but he's alive. He'll be back. And Malcolm's like, yeah. Laurel goes to the Arrow Cave and she wants to help with the Brickwell case, and the team informs her that Malcolm dropped by. He said that Oliver is most likely dead, and Laurel is like, since when are we believing Malcolm Merlin? Oliver's been dead, and it's been a fake out, so this time is no different. Malcolm goes to the top of the mountain to try and find some evidence of Oliver's life or death, and he finds the sword that's covered in Oliver's blood, and he takes it back to the Arrow Cave. He gives a dramatic speech to the team about how all of this is his fault, and he is so sorry that he had to get Oliver wrapped up in this, and silver lining of it all is that because Oliver died during the fight, Malcolm is still wanted by the League. Roy is having a little drink at the bar when Thea is like, hey, can you ask the Arrow where Oliver is? And then Roy goes to the team and he's like, we have to tell Thea. We have to tell Thea the truth. We have to tell her that Oliver went to the top of the mountain and Oliver's dead, and we have to tell her that she fucking killed Sara. Okay, because the guilt is eating me up. And the team is like, no. Danny Brickwell and his gang of thugs are trying to destroy all of the evidence that Team Arrow has gathered over the past couple of months about all of the various criminals that are involved with Danny Brickwell now. Diggle and Roy suit up and they head in to go fight Danny Brickwell. Danny Brickwell, he's British and he's a big man. Diggle shoots Danny Brickwell in the face with a gun.
Smart man. Nobody thinks about going for a headshot.
What is this man's head made out of? The bad guys get away with the evidence, and everyone kind of blames Felicity for this, because she did sort of let him get away. Felicity's like, you know what? Fuck you. Fuck all of this, okay? There's no point being on this team without Oliver, and I am done. Back on the mountain, Maceo is the one who's pulling Oliver's corpse, and he knocked on the door of some rando-ass house that's up on this mountain, and he asks the person inside the house for a little help with Oliver here. Felicity apologizes for snapping at Ray and telling him that his entire life's work is pointless, and she's like, listen, I have lost 2 of my friends recently over, hero shit, and I don't want you to be the 3rd one. She will have no part in helping him with the suit. In the Arrow Cave, Laurel and Diggle have a chat, and he says that he's not really sure what to do now. Felicity quit, Oliver's gone, what's the point? What do we do? How do we move from here? Laurel spends a suspiciously long amount of time staring at Sarah's jacket and mask and wig. Malcolm is like, hey Thea, we're in danger. We gotta leave the city. Why did Danny Brickwell and his gang of thugs steal all this evidence? Well, it's very simple. It's because Brickwell is now using this evidence to make a blackmail army. So the thugs that are in his army now have to work for him, because if they go against what he says, then he will just send a gift-wrapped package of all the evidence they have on that guy to the police department. And his big plan is he wants to take over the Glades. Laurel, dressed in Sarah's vigilante fit, goes and finds a member of Brickwell's gang, and she starts fighting him. In Hong Kong, Oliver tells Maceo that he put a tracker on one of the triad guys that they fought, and this guy with the tracker on him will surely lead them to wherever Chen Na Wei has Tatsu. The person that Maceo brought Oliver to on the mountain is none other than Miss Girl herself, Tatsu. End screen. The character with the most dramatic pauses this episode was Felicity. She had 62. The character with the most quips was a tie between Felicity and Malcolm. They both had 5. The character I laughed at the most was Malcolm. I laughed at him 6 times. The character with the most kills was also a tie between Maceo and Brickwell. They both killed 1 person. Episode 11, Midnight City. Oliver wakes up in the cabin in the mountains and he's there with Tatsu. She tells him that she and Maceo are not back together. She's only here because Maceo asked her to help Oliver. Oliver is worried about Maceo because he just went against the League of Assassins, and Ra's al Ghul will surely kill him for his assistance in saving Oliver's life. Maceo is not concerned. Back in the city, Laurel thinks it's time to put on that vigilante outfit and get out here and serve up some justice the good old-fashioned way. So she goes after some more of Brick's guys. She ends up getting her ass kicked because she's still not properly trained. Roy comes in to save the day, and he ends up taking Laurel back to the Arrow Cave to stitch up her latest stab wounds. And in the Arrow Cave, Roy and Diggle try to talk Laurel out of this whole vigilante thing. And Laurel's like, yeah, you know, under normal circumstances, I would, but Oliver is gone. Sara is gone. There is a void in the vigilante community right now that I need to fill. Title screen. At Palmer Tech, Ray is like, Felicity, have you considered changing your mind about helping me with the Atom suit? And Felicity's like, no. Malcolm goes up to Thea and he's like, hey, why haven't you packed? Like, I told you we're in danger and we have to leave the city. Why haven't you packed? Thea's like, well, I'm gonna need something a little bit more substantial than we're in danger for me to uproot my whole life. And until you give me the truth, I'm staying right here. At SCPD, there's a meeting going on between the mayor and Lance because he's the police captain, and Laurel is there because, of course, Laurel is there, and Ray is there because he's rich and he wants to get involved with the government, and Felicity is there because wherever Ray is, Felicity is, all in a room, and they're yapping about the brick problem. And then, Brick shows up to the SCPD. He kidnaps 3 aldermen and a shootout starts inside the police station. On the mountain, Oliver's like, hey Tatsu, do you think that you could try to convince Maseo to leave the League of Assassins? He's not gonna listen to me, but I think he might listen to you. You were married after all. Tatsu is like, Oliver, Maseo's not going to leave the League. She says that sometimes death is more preferable to the agony of life. They just say things on the show. They just say things like that for no reason. Oliver is like, I do not believe that Maseo and Sarab are 2 different people, okay? Maseo is Maseo. Sarab is just some bullshit. And Tatsu's like, nah, dude, that's Sarab, okay? Trust me, Maseo is gone. In Hong Kong, Maseo wants to try and trade the alpha half of the Alpha Omega virus to Chen Na-wei in exchange for her releasing Tatsu. Oliver was not expecting him to actually do that. Lance goes to talk to Felicity and he's like, hey, Sarah's back in town. Why didn't you tell me? And Felicity's like, Sara is not back in town. What the fuck are you talking about? And Lance is like, there's a woman in black with a blonde wig out fighting crime on TV. It's Sara. She's back. And Felicity's like, oh yeah, Sara. Roy puts on his big boy pants and he goes to talk to Malcolm. And he tells Malcolm to stay away from Thea. Because one day, she'll find out the truth about what really happened to Sara. And that day, he'll lose her forever. And Malcolm just laughs at him and walks away. At Palmer Tech, Ray and Felicity have another flirty little chat where Ray is like, listen, the Atom suit thing, yes, it started as a way for me to avenge my fiancée Anna, who died tragically, tragic backstory and all, but now it's a way for me to protect the people in my life that are still alive, that I cherish and love. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that's you, Felicity. Laurel, Roy, and Diggle suit up to go fight Brick again. Diggle does not want Laurel to be involved with this, but Miss Girl refuses to be excluded. She is joining them on this mission. Laurel ends up getting in a confrontation with Brick, but luckily for her, Brick doesn't like hitting women, so he just lets her go. Brick shoots one of the aldermen while he makes his escape, and then once he's gone, he calls the mayor, and he demands that she speaks with him in person. Malcolm tells Thea a very cherry-picked version of the truth. He's like, Thea, the League of Assassins is after me. Okay, I know that sounds made up, but they're real. I was a part of them. They're after me because of the whole undertaking thing that killed your brother. Not my fault, by the way. The undertaking did that. And because of all of my mistakes, Thea, now you're also at risk. And that's why we have to leave the city. Laurel goes up to Felicity and she's like, girl, you were right. Diggle was right. Everyone was right. I I'm not supposed to be the woman in blonde with the mask. That's not me. Maybe I should hang this shit up and just let it die with Sara. And Felicity's like, no. Okay, because Felicity has come full circle. She's back on her vigilante shit again, and she gives Laurel the pep talk of the century. The mayor, Lance, and Ray, because Ray has just inserted himself into politics because he wants to buy the city. They meet with Brick, and Brick is like, hello, mayor. I want you to remove all you little piggies from the glades, alright? On the mountain, while Oliver and Tatsu are trying to convince Maseo to leave the League, a couple of League of Assassins guys show up. They discover Maseo and Tatsu in the cabin, and a fight breaks loose. Maseo ends up killing all 3 of the League men that show up. In Hong Kong, turns out the serum that Maseo was trading to Chen Na Wei was a fake serum, and she tests it and realizes that it's fake, but fortunately, Oliver, Maseo, and Tatsu are able to get away, and Chen Na Wei does not have the Alpha Omega bioweapon. Diggle and Roy agree to let fucking Laurel join Team Arrow. Felicity also comes back, so now we're all squatted up, and the 4 of them are going to go after Brick. Laurel does the most questionable thing that she could possibly do. She uses a voice changer to make herself sound like Sara, and then she does a phone call with her dad where she pretends to be Sara and asks him for help in locating the alderman. Laurel, you're digging your grave, okay? You cannot pretend to be your dead sister. When Lance finds out that Sara is actually dead and Laurel was fucking doing this to him, he's not going to be okay with that. Laurel should know that. The other people in the team encourage her to do this. They're like, yes, great plan. At this point, Captain Lance is still on good standing with Team Arrow. Felicity could have just called and been like, hey, I need some info on the alderman, and he would have gave it to her. We did not need Laurel to pretend to be Sara to gaslight Lance for info. This is so dumb. Felicity goes to talk to Ray, and she's like, hey, can I have the keys to your helicopter? And he's like, helicopters don't have keys, Felicity, but he didn't say no. So the squad gets in the helicopter and they go to find Brick. Laurel is still not a good fighter. She did not miraculously become an amazing fighter, and she is still getting her ass kicked by Brick. But she's a little bit better this time, and he does actually fight her. On the mountain, Maseo slices a gash in his neck, and he intends to tell Ra's al Ghul that Oliver escaped. In Hong Kong, happy families reunited with their son, and Oliver's like, yo, Maseo, next time you're gonna do a fake out with a fake virus, maybe let me in on that. Okay, because you really had me worried that was the real virus for a second. And Maseo's like, it was supposed to be the real virus, Oliver. Like, I genuinely thought that was the real virus. Amanda Waller must have switched them out because she knew I would do that. And Oliver's like, you were gonna risk the lives of the entire city just to get Tatsu back? And Maseo's like, yeah, I would do anything to protect my family. Laurel loves digging her own fucking grave. Here we go. She dresses up in the Sara outfit, and she's standing in the shadows, and she's talking to Lance face to face, but like far enough away that she's completely obscured from him. He knows there's something sus about this, by the way. This man's not stupid. So Laurel, pretending to be Sara, is like, Daddy, I'll explain everything one day, but like today's not that day, unfortunately. Even though they saved all the aldermen, the mayor still decided to pull all of the police presence from the glades. Thea goes up to Dad, and she's like, hey, I'm not leaving the city. I'm not afraid of the League of Assassins. I'm not afraid of Ra's al Ghul. Sounds stupid. We're gonna stay here and we're gonna fight. And Malcolm's like, okay. Felicity agrees to help Ray with his Atom suit, and she returns the very real keys to his helicopter. At the club, DJ Douche Canoe shows up, and he's like, hey, Thea, I thought you were leaving. And Thea's like, nope, club's staying open. I'm not actually going anywhere. And he's like, Sah, that's cool. I have to make a phone call. And then he gets on the phone and he calls Maceo and he's like, yo, dude, Malcolm Merlin, he's not leaving Starling City. And Maceo's like, Roger Dodger, let me tell that to Ra's al Ghul real quick. End screen. The stats for this episode. The character with the most dramatic pauses was Laurel. She had 34. The character with the most quips was Danny Brickwell. He had 7. The character that I laughed at the most was Malcolm. I laughed at him twice. And the character with the most kills was a tie between Maceo and Brickwell. They both killed 3 people each. Episode 12. Uprising. Oliver leaves the mountain and heads back for Starling City. Title screen. The Glades have no cops anymore. So, Laurel and Roy are down there doing some vigilante justice. Or should I call them by their hero names? Canary and Arsenal. They started calling Roy Arsenal in the episode where they fought this guy, but I have not been calling Roy Arsenal because that's Roy. What are we talking about? Sin, Queen Mother Slay, is in the Glades. Y'all remember Sin? Easy there, Tiger. Am I right? She's in the Glades and she sees Laurel all dressed up like Sara and she's like, OMG, Sara? And Sara does not respond. Sara doesn't even recognize Sin. So Sin goes, that's a little fishy. I love Sin. MVP of season 2. Lance is angry about the mayor taking the police out of the Glades. He calls Felicity and he asks if there's anything he can do to help the vigilantes out. Thea and Malcolm are training, and Thea is like, fuck all of this. Okay, listen, I just wanted you to teach me how to be strong. I did not sign up for the League of Assassins or Ra's al Ghul. And Malcolm's like, listen, Thea, listen, I get it, but like, these are just the cards we were dealt, okay? And we gotta play poker, so get in the game. And after my wife, my sweet, lovely wife Rebecca, was murdered, I avenged her death by killing her murderer. And yes, I felt kind of bad about it at first. But now that I've killed more people, I've started to realize that I don't care that much. And I know that one day, Thea, you'll feel the same way that I feel about murder. We get a Malcolm Merlin flashback. He is a fresh-faced little businessman. He's just doing business, wheeling and dealing. And one night, he hears little Tommy crying in his room. So Dad of the Year runs up there and he's like, OMG, my sweet precious baby. I will never let anything bad happen to you, my sweet summer child. I will always be here to protect you. Ding dong. Oh, someone's at the door? It must be my lovely wife, Rebecca. So he goes to open the door. It's the cops. And they are there to deliver the news that his sweet wife, Rebecca, has just bled out on the sidewalk. Arsenal goes to meet with Lance, and he's like, thank you, Captain, for this evidence. It'll be a great help to the team. And then Lance is like, Roy, I know that's you, bestie. And Roy's like, huh? How do you know that? And I'm also like, huh? How can you recognize Roy Harper, but you can't recognize Oliver, and you can't recognize Laurel? How? You can't have your cake and eat it too, CW. It's one or the other. Whatever. Lance tells Roy that he needs to protect Sara because he still thinks that Laurel is Sara. In the Arrow Cave, Felicity's doing what she usually does. Type, search, and she goes, OMG. I just discovered that Danny Brickwell used the same gun in 2 murders. Okay, rookie mistake. One of the murders with this gun in it just so happened to be the murder of one Rebecca Merlin. This wouldn't be a crazy revelation if it wasn't for the fact that Malcolm Merlin has a spy camera in the Arrow Cave, and he is watching this, and now Malcolm knows that the man he killed all those years ago was not the real murderer. It's Danny Brickwell. On the mountain, Tatsu is kind of helping Oliver get towards, like, the middle of the mountain, because there's some guy with a truck at the middle of the mountain, and he'll be able to drive Oliver the rest of the way down the mountain. And Tatsu tells Oliver that he has no hope of defeating Roz. The only person who does have a chance is Maceo. right? Because the only person who can defeat the teacher is the student. And Oliver's like, got a point there. We then cut to Malcolm Merlyn sharpening a curvy little sword. And Thea walks in and she's like, please tell me you're just, preparing to cut some chicken for dinner. What is this? And he's like, when I told you that I killed the man who killed my wife, I was mistaken. And now I'm gonna go kill the real culprit. Okay. And Thea's like, hey, Dad, let's not. Team Arrow discovers that Brickwell is holed up in the Glades police station, so the team suits up to go after him. Laurel and Roy are out in the field, and Felicity and Diggle are in the Arrow Cave. Diggle is now taking more of a back seat, remember, because now he's a father and he can't be putting himself in danger. But my question for John Diggle, you got Roy Harper and Laurel Lance running around in masks and leather, and you're sitting in the fucking Arrow Cave not helping? Diggle! The main man in green is not here, dude! You have to be out there! You have to be helping! You're letting little Laurel Lance with no fucking skills out here in the field, and you're just gonna sit in the Arrow Cave and eat bonbons with Felicity? Diggle, please, just go into the Glades and help a girl out. You're not gonna die if you go on one mission, bro. Please. It doesn't make sense. John Diggle, you'd think, would have a bit more sense of duty in this moment. And you'd think that he'd be like, listen, baby Sara, after this one, when Oliver comes back, then I'll stop fighting. But for now, I gotta go back there. But he's really like, no, Laurel's here now, so I can just sit in the Arrow Cave on my ass. Malcolm shows up and he's ready to kill Brick, but Brick gets away and Team Arrow brings Malcolm back to the Arrow Cave. And Malcolm is like, I know that he killed my wife and I'm going to kill him, but I think I might need your help on this one. So would you mind to team up? And the team is like split on this. Felicity and Diggle are vehemently against it. They're like, no, we will never team up with Malcolm Merlyn. This is a big no for us. Laurel and Roy are more like, maybe it's a good idea. Maybe we should team up with Malcolm Merlyn. Roy is the one who's really advocating for it. Laurel's kind of like, eh. So in the end, they put it to a vote, and they decide not to work with Malcolm Merlyn. Roy goes to talk to Thea, and Thea's like, dude, Roy, my dad wants to go kill a man. It's got reasons. It's kind of complicated. And he's only doing it because in his sick and twisted mind, he thinks that this is how you should express love, He's only doing it out of love. But I don't think he should kill this guy. I think maybe the Arrow should probably stop him. In Malcolm's dead wife flashback, he finds the guy that the police suspect has killed Rebecca. He goes up to this guy and he fucking shoots him. Sorry, hey, excuse me, teacher, I have a question. Wouldn't Malcolm have known that the person that killed Rebecca wasn't this guy? Because Felicity discovered that Rebecca Merlyn died by Danny Brickwell because she just Googled a newspaper. You think Malcolm Merlyn, back in the day when this was happening, he would have seen this newspaper and been like, oh my god, Danny Brickwell killed my wife. Why did it take him until this episode, all these years later, for him to realize that he didn't actually kill Danny Brickwell? That's a plot hole if I have ever fucking seen one. It's just like, oh, we need something for Malcolm to do. Team Arrow needs recruits. They cannot take down Brickwell and his army on their own, especially because they're down Oliver and Diggle loves to sit on his ass. So, Laurel goes to recruit Wildcat, Ted, and Roy recruits Sin. Yes. There's a big fight. I didn't even try to get a death count because, they've got clubs, they've got guns, there's blunt force trauma, there's blades, there's knives, there's a lot going on. Malcolm pops up in the middle of the commotion to kill Danny Brickwell. He's about to pull the trigger, and then Oliver shows up. Yeah, Oliver's back, and he's like, no, Malcolm, you're better than this. Don't kill him. And Malcolm's like, oh, but I want to kill him. Oh, but I want to kill him so bad. Oh, please let me kill him. And then Oliver's like, if you wanted to kill him, you would have pulled the trigger by now, Malcolm. Drop the gun. Let me arrest him. And so Malcolm doesn't kill Danny Brickwell. That's honestly a shame. But I do believe that Malcolm not killing Danny Brickwell is part of his next master plan, which we'll get to. Malcolm Merlyn has another master plan that we haven't even touched yet. This man is an opportunistic son of a bitch, and he did this for a reason. The Arrow gives a speech to the city, and he tells the citizens that he is sorry for abandoning them. Oliver is not leaving Starling City. Hoorah! Sin goes to talk to Lance, and she's like, hey, you're Sarah's dad, right? That woman that's running around is not Sarah. Just thought I would let you know. Like, she's not giving me Sarah vibes. And Lance is like, what are you talking about? Malcolm and Thea are in the middle of a little, their usual conversations about to kill or not to kill. That is the question. And then Oliver comes in and he's like, Malcolm, somebody on the mountain gave me some very wise words. Only the student has hope of defeating the master. And therefore, I need you to teach me how to fight like Ra's al Ghul taught you. And Malcolm is like, a team up. Yes, Malcolm and Oliver are now teamed up. Ooh, does this go over well with Team Arrow? Absolutely not. Felicity is very upset by this. Like, Oliver, how could you possibly have teamed up with Malcolm Merlyn? He forced Thea, a woman that you love, to kill Sara, another woman that you loved. What the fuck does that make me, Oliver? I don't want to be a woman that you love. And she leaves. End screen. Oh! The character with the most dramatic pauses this episode was Malcolm. He had 69. Nice. The character with the most quips was Roy. He had 9. The character I laughed at the most was Malcolm. I laughed at him 9 times. And the character with the most kills was a tie between Malcolm and Brickwell. They both killed 1 person. Episode 13. Canaries. They're gonna pretend like it's the same day. It's the same outfit. I have different makeup and different nails, but it's the same day, okay? Oh, the light. I have somewhere to be after this. I'm going to see the Wicked movie. We're running. Dinah Laurel Lance. Selfish bitch. You're not a hero. You're a liar, a fraud, and an addict. Sarah Lance. While she's fighting Laurel in the opening sequence of this episode. Title screen, Arsenal is chasing down some criminals, and Oliver is there, because Oliver's back in town. I should probably take the RIP off this man. So Laurel shows up, and she starts trying to help Arsenal and the Arrow with their little fight, and Oliver's mad because he does not want Laurel teaming up with them. He does not want Laurel to have any part of this. But Laurel doesn't care what Oliver says. Oliver's mad at Diggle, specifically, for letting Laurel help them fight crime. And Diggle's like, listen, ma'am, she's hard to tell no. Malcolm shows up, Oliver's new BFF, according to Felicity. And he's like, hey, Oliver, I think it's time that we bring Thea into the fold. You need to tell her that you're the Arrow, and you need to bring her into the Arrow Cave, and we all need to be besties with Thea now. And Oliver's like, you're right, absolutely, gonna get on that. But Diggle is like, whoa, hold the fucking phone real quick. If you tell Thea that you're the Arrow, she is going to be so fucking mad at you. Diggle says that if Oliver tells Thea that he's the Arrow, he will, and I quote, lose her forever. Wow, they love saying that in the show. God damn. Forever is such a strong word. And these bitches love tossing it around in this show. In Hong Kong, Maceo is in full panic mode because he knows that Waller knows that he tried to trade the virus to Chen Na Wei, and he's scared that Waller is gonna come after him and retaliate. So he is planning to run away with Tatsu and Akio. He's gonna leave Hong Kong and never be seen again, and he suggests that Oliver does the same thing. So that's their plan now. They're running away. Werner Zeidel, Mr. Vertigo, he is being taken to court for his sentencing or whatever, and while he is being walked into the building, a cop gets injected with vertigo and starts shooting up the place, and in the commotion, Mr. Werner Zeidel gets away. Oliver shows Thea the Arrow Cave, and she does not get lost to him forever. In fact, she's very glad that he's the Arrow. She's like, all those times that you were BSing me, I'm so glad that you were actually out here doing some good for the city. I love you, bro. And they hug. At the Queen Loft, Thea's like, hey, Oliver, it's really cool that you're the Arrow, and it's really cool that you're telling me this. Why now? What changed? And then Malcolm comes in, and he's like, Ra's al Ghul changed, alright? We need to team up because our best chance of defeating Ra's al Ghul is if the three of us are a united front. And Thea puts 2 and 2 together, and she's like, wait a minute, Malcolm. You spent all that time in Corto Maltese telling me that I can't trust Oliver. You've been driving a wedge between me and my brother this whole time. Until now. Now you want to show up here and be like, now we gotta work together. Because it serves your goal. Because you're an opportunistic son of a bitch. I don't trust you. I don't trust this team up. And I would like no part in it. In Hong Kong, Oliver tries to use a payphone to call his mom to tell her that he's alive. He gets chased down and tased by one of Waller's men. Team Arrow starts trying to track down Werner Zeidel, and Laurel wants to be involved, and Oliver says, no, Laurel, you can't be involved, because you're an addict, and you're addicted to adrenaline, and it's going to get you killed. And Laurel's like, you don't get to make choices for me, Oliver. Oliver and Thea have another chat about teaming up with Merlin. He's trying to convince her that this is for the greater good. And she's like, no, Dumbledore, this is not for the greater good. I don't trust Malcolm Merlin, and neither should you. This is the end of the conversation. In Hong Kong, Oliver is being tortured by Waller to give up the location of Maceo and his family. Captain Lance goes up to Laurel, and he's like, hey, daughter. Hey, my lovely, wonderful daughter who would never gaslight me for months. Hey, how are you doing? I spoke with Slay Queen Sin, Sarah's old friend, and she told me that the woman with the blonde wig is not Sarah. Would you happen to have any idea about that? And Laurel's like, whoa, that's news to me, Dad. Oliver put a tracker on Laurel because he had a funny little feeling, his spidey senses were going off, that she was going to try to track down Werner Zeidel on her own, so she did. And the team used the tracker on Laurel to locate Werner Zeidel. Laurel's little stealth mission is not going so well. Again, she is not trained properly. She's girl bossing, but she's not quite there yet. She cannot be going on solo missions. Laurel's trying to do a little stealth mission. She gets discovered, and then she ends up throwing it down with Werner Zeidel. This is what happens at the start of the episode when she sees Sara calling her a selfish bitch, fighting her. It's actually the effects of scary vertigo. Remember, it shows you your worst fear. So she wasn't actually fighting Sara. She's fighting Werner Zeidel, but he looks like Sara because she's under the influence of vertigo. Werner gets away. Tensions are high in the Arrow Cave. They brought Laurel in. She's not looking good. They gotta do some doctor shit on her. She's out cold. She's been beaten. She's bloody. She's bruised. Thea walks in, and she's like, oh, is this a bad time? I'll leave. And then Oliver's like, yeah, this is a bad time, Thea. Get the fuck out of here and never come down here again. And then Roy is like, yo, you don't get to tell her what to do. Felicity chimes in, and she's like, listen, Oliver, you were dead, and you don't get to just come back here and then start making choices for us all again. Like, we had to make the calls while you were gone, and that's not gonna change just because you waltzed back in here. This isn't just your crusade anymore. This is all of ours. So, maybe back off, Oliver. Thea is a little stressed out. She leaves the Arrow Cave, and she finds DJ Megadouche in the alleyway. He's like, yes, Thea, how you doing, bro? And then Thea's like, oh my god, Chase, how great to see you. And she kisses Chase in the alleyway, and then asks him to come back to her place because she needs a distraction. Roy sees her leave with Chase. Oliver and Diggle talk, and Diggle gives Oliver the reality check that this is not just Oliver's fight anymore, and he cannot dictate what everyone else does. He cannot decide who gets to be involved anymore. In Hong Kong, Oliver and Maceo are thrown into a dark, dreary room, and he's like, oh my god, Maceo, I'm so sorry I ratted you out. And Maceo's like, you didn't rat me out, Oliver. I gave you a fake location because I knew Waller would torture you. And Maceo says that he came back to Argus to save Oliver because he didn't want Oliver to go down on his own. Felicity tells Laurel that she needs to stop trying to be Sara and just be herself. Thea and DJ Douche-Canoe are chilling out in the Queen Loft. They just had a little bit of fun, if you know what I mean. They start pouring wine, okay, and Thea realizes that he's trying to poison her with, like, arsenic in the wine, and then they start fighting. Like, they get into it. Like, punches are thrown, they start throwing shit at each other. It's a battle. And then Roy busts in, full stalker mode, and he joins in the fight. And then Malcolm also busts in, extra full stalker mode. And now they're all here. And then Chase, the DJ, he's like, Saw, I'm not telling you anything, except for the fact I work for Ra's al Ghul, and now I'm gonna kill myself. Rad. And then he kills himself. Oliver agrees to team up with Laurel properly this time to go take down Werner Zeidel. During this confrontation, Oliver saves the hostages and Laurel has to go fight Werner Zeidel on her own. This time, she's able to conquer her fears of the scary vertigo because she's not trying to impersonate Sara anymore. Now, she can just be herself. And with the power of self-confidence and self-love, she takes down Werner Zeidel. Guys, it's time. It's time. Laurel is going to tell Lance the truth. How do you think he's going to react? Place your bets in the comments below. So Laurel says, hey Dad, we need to talk. Sara is cooked. She's 6 feet under. The woman in black in the wig, that was me. Yeah, that was me. This whole time, it's been me for a while. Lance does not take it well. Not at all. Not good. Thea, after getting absolutely obliterated by DJ Douchebag, she's like, okay, listen, maybe I'm not as strong as I thought, Oliver. Maybe you're right. Maybe we do need to team up with my psycho villain dad. Maybe that's the only option here, because I'm not strong enough, and like you said, he is our best chance at taking down this Ra's al Ghul motherfucker. You know, still sounds fake, but okay. Malcolm comes in because he's always watching, and he suggests that Oliver and Thea need to go on a little trip, because Ra's al Ghul preys on people's fears, so they need to go on a little trip to conquer their fears. Oliver and Thea get on a plane and they go to my favorite set piece in the entire Arrowverse. It's Mandarin for Purgatory. In Hong Kong, this ends with Waller taking Oliver and Maceo back to Starling City, because that's where Chen Na Wei is now. End screen. Stats for this episode. The character with the most dramatic pauses was Oliver. He had 80. The character with the most quips was Thea. She had 12. The character that I laughed at the most was Roy. I laughed at him a good 4 times. And the character with the most kills was the cop. Just came back from Wicked. 10 out of 10. Would defy gravity again. But I do have a lot of questions. Episode 14, The Return. Oliver and Thea are now officially on Lian Yu, and they are training together. You know, they're doing a little bit of hua, 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 and a little bit of ya, ya. I just kicked my leg. I don't know if you could see that. In Hong Kong, remember, we're not in Hong Kong anymore. We're in Starling City, because Chen Na Wei is in Starling City. What is she doing there? Excellent question. She is trying to sell the Omega half of the Alpha Omega bioweapon. Even though she doesn't have the full thing, there is definitely going to be some psychopath out there who is rich enough and dedicated enough to recreate the Alpha on their own. So there's going to be somebody out there who will buy the Omega half of the virus. Waller explains to them that if anybody finds out that Oliver Queen is alive and back in Starling, she will kill both of them. So they better watch it. In the Starling City flashback, we're also getting flashbacks to some of the other characters. This time we get a flashback to Laurel and her father. Lance is drinking in a bar, and Laurel comes in, and she's like, hey, it's time to stop. The bartender in this scene's name is Frank, which ups the Frank counter to 4. There have been 4 Franks in Arrow. There's only been 3 seasons, and there's 4 Franks. Let that sink in. Assess the gravity of this situation. So Starling City is in the past. Lian Yu is in the present. I'm sorry if this is confusing. So in the present, on Lian Yu, Oliver is having a nightmare about Sara, and it's one of those nightmares where you start screaming, Sara, Sara, and then the person you're sleeping next to is like, hey, what's up with that? And Thea is like, hey, what's up with that? She asks Oliver, hey, do you know who killed Sara? Like, I'm curious. Nobody told me. Did you find that out? And Oliver doesn't answer that question because he has to go check something. He goes down to Argus jail to check on Slade Wilson because Slade Wilson's in Argus jail. The cell is empty. That means that Slade Wilson has escaped Argus jail. Title screen. It's the title screen. I'm sorry. Did I mention that I just saw Wicked? Oliver runs back to Thea, and she is okay. She's still there. Slade is not out yet. I mean, he's out, but he hasn't found them yet. Oliver gets a call from psycho villain Malcolm Merlyn, and he explains that he's the one that set Slade free, and he did it as a test. Because Oliver needs to regain his killer instinct, and of course the only way to do that is to set Slade Wilson free. Malcolm is really banking on the fact that Oliver is going to handle this situation because he just put his daughter in the crosshairs of Slade Wilson, the man who was going to kill her in season 2. Back in the flashback Starling City, Oliver is stalking Thea from a distance, and he watches her go up to a drug dealer. Tommy also sees Thea doing this drug deal, and he's like, hey, Thea, Oliver wouldn't want you to go down this path that you're on. And Thea's like, you know, it's really funny how Oliver seems to care a whole lot more about me now that he's dead than he did when he was alive. Honestly, bars. Back on Lian-Yu, Oliver goes to where he buried his father, Robert Queen, and he finds a gun because he left a gun there. So he grabs the gun, but it doesn't matter because Slade ambushes them, and he ends up locking Oliver and Thea in Argus jail. This would be a really great time to point out that I am a huge fan of the Slade Wilson theme music. It's my favorite villain music, I think, from the entire show. I really don't think that any villain music is going to top the Slade Wilson theme. Slade's master plan to get off the island is to leave Oliver and Thea locked in Argus jail, and then he will find 2 random bodies and burn them till there's absolutely no way to identify them as any one person, and he will pass those bodies off as the dead bodies of Oliver and Thea, so everyone back home will think they're dead. Okay, and then Slade will hop on Malcolm Merlyn's private plane, and he'll fly back to the city. My question, what is Captain Boomerang doing? I think this could have been way better if it was a Slade Wilson, Captain Boomerang team-up. Get all the Aussies in on this, but they didn't do that, and Captain Boomerang is not mentioned at all. He doesn't show up in this episode, even though he's supposedly on Lian-Yu, and this would have been a really good excuse to have him show up again as a more of a recurring villain, but whatever. In the Starling City flashback, Oliver goes to Queen Consolidated because he's looking for some info. On his father's computer, Oliver finds a file that is labeled for Oliver. He downloads this file onto the thumb drive along with the things that he was actually supposed to download. Then we cut over to another scene in the flashback. It's a party. Tommy's having a party. I think it's his birthday. I don't really remember. But there's a big party at the Merlyn house, and it's strictly 18 and over. Thea is not invited, but Thea shows the fuck up anyway. At this party, Thea tries to get more drugs off of the dealer, but Tommy intercepts and he tells her to get away from this guy. Who else is at this party? John Diggle. Because of course he's there. He's working security. And this is the first time that we get to see John Diggle's dead brother, Andy Diggle, who is alive in this scene. Just thought you needed clarification. He's alive in the scene. Andy Diggle will become an important character in season 4, unfortunately. This is the first time we get to actually see what he looks like. And he is the one who got Diggle this job working security at the rich man's party. After Oliver downloads all that information from Queen Consolidated, he shows up at this party, lurking in the shadows, and Oliver Queen decides that it's gonna be a good idea to kill the drug dealer. The music that's playing at the party, absolute banger. It's Right Round by Flo Rida featuring Kesha. In Lian-Yu jail, Thea is like, hey Oliver, since we're stuck in this cage and we have plenty of time to chat, you mind telling me who killed Sara? I know you know, and I know you're not telling me. Time to tell me, bestie. And Oliver's like, I would do that. I would love to tell you the truth about this. Just, we need to escape this little prison cell right now. And the way they do that is Thea dislocates her arm, and then she's able to reach around the wall and then press the button that opens the cell door. This jail was so poorly designed. In the Starling City flashback, a huge fight breaks out between Lance and Laurel. They are arguing to the extreme. He's pissed off because she is going to take this big corporate job in a different city, and she's going to be fighting fighting to keep fat cats fatter and rich men richer, and what happened to her trying to help the common man. And Laurel is pissed because Lance is a drunk, and he's acting drunk, and he's showing up at Tommy's party on duty drunk. Also happening is Maceo and Oliver are arguing. Maceo's like, hey, Oliver, it was a dumbass fucking idea to come to this party and kill that guy. Like, what were you thinking? You could have been exposed. You could have gotten both of us killed. And Oliver's like, okay, I'm done, Maceo. I am done. My family needs me. Thea needs me. I cannot keep running around doing missions for Amanda Waller. I need to tell them that I'm alive and I need to stay here. My place is Starling. I want nothing to do with Amanda Waller anymore. On the island, Oliver finally tells Thea that she killed Sara. I want you to imagine how you think that conversation's gonna go, and then double it, because it's worse. Slade, of course, shows back up to fight the two of them. This confrontation ends with Thea pointing a gun at Slade, and Oliver's like, Thea, don't shoot Slade. You're not a killer. You might have actually technically killed Sara, but, like, you were under the influence of Malcolm Merlyn. He killed Sara, not you. You're not a killer. And Thea's like, you don't know me! And she shoots Slade Wilson. But it doesn't kill him. It was just a flesh wound. She's a very bad aim. In the Starling City flashback, Oliver is contemplating whether or not to stay in Starling City and say fuck you to Amanda Waller or go back, and he plays the video message that he found from his father. In this video message, this is where Oliver first hears about the list. And Robert says that it's a list of all of the men who are doing bad shit in the city. And he wants Oliver to right his wrongs and do good by him and use the list for good. Also going on in the flashback, Chen Na-wei is selling the bioweapon. Maceo shows up to try and stop the sale, but he is not, he's not winning this battle until Oliver shows up to help. Oliver has decided not to stay in Starling City and say fuck you to Amanda Waller. He has decided to keep working for Amanda Waller because it's what his dad would have wanted. Question mark. On the island, they throw Slade back in jail and then they leave. In the Starling City flashback, Oliver and Maceo are approached by the real head honcho of this whole operation, General Shreve. General Shreve, military man, okay? Most stereotypical evil military man you can possibly think of. This guy is evil. Just heads up. He tells Oliver and Maceo that they're gonna head back to Hong Kong, answer a couple of questions, and then they're free to go. In the present, Laurel goes to see her father at Sara's grave. She's like, hey, I am so sorry I kept this from you for so long. And he's like, sorry's not gonna fix this, Laurel. You're dead to me. I don't want to speak to you. I hate you. It's gonna take a whole lot more than sorry to fix this relationship. And I don't think it's ever gonna be fixed, to be honest. Thea is 50 shades of fucked up after learning that she killed Sara. Man of the hour walks in, Malcolm Merlyn, and Thea gives him a certified Tommy Merlyn classic roast. She says, and I'm gonna read this straight off of the thing. The only person that I'm afraid of right now is you. I will work with you to stop Roz because that's what my brother says we need to do. So I will be your student. I will be your partner. Even if I have to, I will be your soldier. But never again will I be your daughter. End screen. Stats for this episode. The character with the most dramatic pauses was Oliver. He had 66. The character with the most quips was Thea. She had 14. The character I laughed at the most was Malcolm. I laughed at him twice. And the character with the most kills was Oliver. He killed 4 people. Episode 15. Nanda Parbat. Ra's al Ghul is chilling in the Lazarus pit. We'll get to that. Nyssa is now beefing with her dad because she wants to kill Oliver Queen. He doesn't really seem that concerned by this. Ra's al Ghul might have other plans for Oliver. Title screen. In the Arrow Cave, Oliver, Thea, and Malcolm are training. Malcolm makes a comment that this really sucks for Oliver because you can't bring a bow and arrow to a sword fight. My question, why can't we bring a rocket launcher? Let's see Ra's al Ghul dodge a rocket. How about that? How about we bring machine gun to the sword fight? I think Oliver may win. While they're in there, Laurel is down there and she sees Thea fighting and she pulls Thea aside and she's like, hey, your fighting style really reminds me of Sara. And Thea is like, yeah, you gotta go. Diggle comes down and he's like, the club is secure. We've added extra security measures, whatever. And then Malcolm is like, thanks, John. And then Diggle is like, my friends call me Dig. You shouldn't even be speaking to me. And then Malcolm's like, whatever, and he immediately turns around and calls him Dig. Back in Hong Kong, General Shreve tells Oliver and Maceo that they're free to go. The plan is for them to get on a boat that will take them to Tokyo, and then from Tokyo, they can go wherever they want. Okay, I smell a scam happening. There is a little bit of a B-plot happening in this episode with Felicity and Ray. She goes to find him, and he has locked himself in his office working on his Atom suit. He appears to have not slept in at least a week. This man does not sleep. His eyes bloodshot. He's greasy. He's grimy. He's teching it up in there. And Felicity's like, bro, maybe you need to relax. And so there's a B-plot going on in this episode with Felicity and Ray and him kind of taking a break from the Atom suit. So we're gonna skip most of that. Thea goes up to Laurel and she's like, hey, no more lies. I'm the one that killed Sara. Malcolm drugged me, but I killed her. And Laurel is like, Thea, this is not your fault. Because Laurel is somehow the most rational character in this entire show. Laurel and Ray are like the most emotionally mature characters, even though Laurel kept that big secret from her dad this entire time. She's somehow like so okay and normal about this. Laurel goes to Oliver and she's like, hey, Ollie, any news on Sarah's killer? And Oliver still lies to her. He says that he doesn't know who it is, but he's working to find the answer. And then Laurel goes apeshit. She's like, no, Oliver, stop lying to me. Thea told me the truth. And then Oliver's like, oh my fucking god, I can't believe Thea would do that. Laurel's like, do you really think I'm that much of a psycho that I would blame Thea? Oliver's like, I don't know what to think, Laurel. Laurel hits him with the, I can't even remember a time where I loved you. Mic drop, honestly. Oliver is very angry that Thea told Laurel. And then Thea claps back with the, she's not the only person I told, Oliver. Malcolm is just walking around in an alley, and then Laurel attacks him. She's ready for revenge. Malcolm kicks her ass, but Laurel brought a gun. He never expect it, but Laurel's always got a gun. But then some League of Assassins dudes show up, and they kidnap Malcolm, and Nyssa is like, Laurel, we'll take it from here. Don't even worry. Consider Sarah's death avenged. Oliver's like, hey, Laurel, I told you that Malcolm was off limits. And Laurel's like, yeah, but then I remembered that I don't give a damn. Oliver's like, I know Thea didn't actually want this to happen. I know Thea doesn't actually want to be responsible for killing her father. Oliver, you don't know that. Oliver, she wanted this. This is what she wanted. She knew this would happen. Thea is not a dumb bitch. Oliver's acting like Thea just made a crazy mistake and she has no idea what she's doing. She did this on purpose, Oliver. But Oliver wants to reverse it so bad. He wants his Willy Wonka scratch that reverse it moment, so they have to track down Merlin and they have to stop the League from killing him in order to save Thea's soul. In Hong Kong, Oliver and the Yamashiros, never said this, but Maceo and Tatsu's last name is Yamashiro. So Oliver, Maceo, Tatsu, and Akio are about to get on a boat. Oliver makes a comment that he hates boats, got me good, and then they realize that something is not right about the situation. There's a bunch of guys with guns? Question mark, and a fight breaks out. Yeah, this was a setup. General Shreve is trying to kill them. Oliver goes to fight Nyssa because they're trying to transport Malcolm in a helicopter, so Oliver tries to break it up. They get away with Malcolm, but Oliver captures Nyssa and brings her back to the Arrow Cave. Nyssa tells Oliver where Nanda Parbat is. Lila asks Diggle if he has asked Oliver the question yet. Of course he has not asked Oliver the question. There is simply too much going on. And Lila suggests that Diggle should accompany Oliver to Nanda Parbat and perhaps ask the question while they're there. At Nanda Parbat, Malcolm is pleading for his life. He's on his knees begging.
There is a price you must pay for your crimes that can only be measured in agony and blood.
No.
They take Malcolm away, lock him up, and they're about to do some serious League of Assassins torture on his ass. Felicity and Ray B-plot has now escalated. They are making out in his office. He's also shirtless, by the way. Just thought you should know. Oliver and Diggle try to break into Nanda Parbat. They got their guns, they got their bow and arrows, they're shooting pow, pow, pow. I did count some deaths during this fight, even though the bullets are supposed to be tranquilizers and the arrows are supposed to be baby arrows. If it was a headshot, they're dead. If it was in the neck, I considered it a kill. And if it looked like he got the guy right in the heart, cooked. So I did count a couple of kills for Oliver and Diggle because of this sequence. Nyssa is locked up in the Arrow Cave. Laurel comes to chat with her, and Nyssa tells Laurel the story of how she fell in love with Sara. It's actually a very sweet story, and Laurel and Nyssa are starting to be a little bit friendly vibes. Oliver and Diggle shoot their way through Nanda Parbat, and they find Malcolm Merlin roasting like a Thanksgiving turkey. Man is hung up over a fire. roasting. It was a trap. So now they're still roasting Malcolm like a rotisserie chicken, but they've also got Oliver and Diggle now locked up in Nanda Parbat jail. Oliver admits to Diggle, hey, you're right. I didn't just come back here to save Thea's soul or whatever. I came back here because deep down, I was pissed off that there was somebody out there who could defeat me, and I wanted a second chance to duke it out with Ra's al Ghul. And Diggle's like, thanks for telling me, man. I love these little therapy talks that we have. Hey, do you mind if I ask you a question? Diggle asks Oliver if he would like to be the best man at his wedding, and Oliver accepts, of course, pending they make it to the wedding. In Hong Kong, while they're fighting at the boat, dock, whatever, Oliver and Akio get split up from Iseo and Tatsu. So now Oliver's just got this kid, and they gotta run. Thea and Roy have a chat, and he's like, hey Thea, you and I are so very alike. We both killed people while we were under the influence of some weird drugs. And Thea is like, no, Roy, we are not the same. This is completely different circumstances. You killed some random cop that you never have to see ever again. I killed Sara. I have to walk around and look at all of my loved ones in the face and live with the guilt of that. Ray, Felicity, B-plot, they hooked up. Ray wakes up before Felicity. He leaves her in his room, suits up in his little Iron Man suit, and then flies around the city. He can fly now, guys. What are we doing? How did we get here? Why is there a man in a robot suit flying around the city? This is Flash shit. This is not Arrow shit. Thea goes into the Arrow cave and she says, hey Nissa, I killed Sara. And then she opens the cage door and gives Nissa a sword and she's like, please kill me. Thea would love to join the Suicide Squad, and this is her application. Roz speaks with Oliver, and he's like, hey, Oliver, I would like, very much, if you would become the next Ra's al Ghul. End screen. As for this episode, Oliver had 63 dramatic pauses. He also had the most quips with 9. The character that I laughed at the most was Felicity. She got 5 laughs. And the character with the most kills was Oliver. Even though presumably some of those were not kills, I still counted them. This is my video. I do what I want. Episode 16. The Offer. Ra's wants Oliver to take his place as the new Ra's al Ghul. We get a little tour of the League of Assassins. Oliver seems unimpressed by the whole thing. He does not want to be here. Ra's is like, hey Oliver, your dual identity as Oliver Queen and the Arrow, it's taking its toll. And when you become Ra's, you'll just be one person. And you won't have to worry about dual-wielding identities. It'll be much better for you. Title screen. Nissa does not kill Thea. She's like, Thea, what is your problem? Ra's takes Oliver to the Lazarus Pit, and he explains that this magical jacuzzi is how he's managed to stay alive for so many hundreds and thousands of years. It makes you young. It's the Fountain of Youth, except bathtub version. Oliver does not seem fazed by the Lazarus Pit. He actually mentions that he's seen something like this before. I don't like where this is going. If season 4 is about some magical supervillain, I don't want it. I don't want it. Please tell me that's not what season 4 is about. Ra's is like, hey, I understand that you're in a no-killing phase of your life. If you become the next Ra's, the League's mission becomes your mission. And if you tell them not to kill people, they won't kill people. And Oliver's like, I can smell the bullshit on you, dude. I know that's not how this works. I don't want this. Can I just go home? Can we just forget about it? And Ra's is like, okay, you can go. And he frees Malcolm and Diggle and lets them all go back to Starling City as a gesture of good faith towards Oliver. Oliver gets home and gives Thea a little late Christmas gift. What is it? Malcolm. Dying roasted turkey Malcolm. He's like, here Thea, please nurse him back to health. And Thea's like, God damn it! You were supposed to let him die. He was supposed to die. He's supposed to be dead. Why is he here on my couch, Oliver? What is this? And Oliver's like, Thea, I did you a solid. I saved your soul. You should be thanking me. Diggle is like, hey, Oliver, why did Ra's let you go? How did we get here? How are we back? Explain. And Oliver's like, he just had a change of heart, I guess. In Hong Kong, remember, Oliver and Akio are now split from the rest of the Yamashiro family. So Akio's like, we have to go to the botanical gardens, because that's where mommy and daddy always told me to go if we got lost. I'm a little boy. In the Arrow Cave, Oliver lets Nissa go. He does not tell her why he's still alive. He doesn't tell her anything that happened at the League. And she's like, I still hate you. I still want to kill you. I'm going home now. There's some robbers robbing around the town. So Oliver, as the Arrow, goes to ask Captain Lance for some help. Captain Lance doesn't like the Arrow anymore. He tells the Arrow to never speak to him again. and he doesn't want to be associated with the Arrow because all the Arrow does is lie. Oliver goes to Felicity, and she does some typing, and we discovered that the villain this week is named Michael Amar. Street name Murmur, because he had his lips sewn shut for reasons. I also know a Michael who murmurs, so that's a very relatable character. Felicity's like, hey Oliver, I can tell there's something bothering you. Would you like to share? And he says, nothing is bothering me. Laurel pops by the Queen loft to talk to Thea. Thea is like, I wish none of you bitches ever told me that Malcolm was my real dad. I wish that I could live my life in blissful ignorance and never have crossed paths with this motherfucker. Malcolm is on the couch, right, because he's dying. Thea, I can hear you. And she's like, I want to kill you. I want to kill you so bad. You're so wounded, I could just kill you right now. And he's like, okay, do it. Nyssa, at the League, learns that Roz has chosen Oliver to be his heir. Nyssa, mad, she's the heir. What is this? How could you do this to me? That's supposed to be my spot. Okay, Oliver can't have that. You are just trying to punish me for Sara. You don't like that I was in love with Sara. You're homophobic. Oliver is seriously considering becoming Ra's al Ghul. He's picturing himself on the throne of the League of Assassins, bathing in the Lazarus pit. Like, wow, what a life that would be. He tells Diggle about Raz's offer, and Diggle is like, you can't seriously be considering that. Thea does not kill Malcolm because she, thinks, what would Mom think about this? Thea is like, hey, there's something broken inside me. There's something broken inside that motherfucker, and he passed it on to me, and I'm a broken little mess of broken pieces, and I hate my life, and I hate this, and I hate that this is what I've become. And then she leaves, and Oliver's like, hey, where are you going? And she says, I'm going to buy my evil dad some soup. That took me out for a minute, I will not lie. Once Thea is gone, Malcolm's like, hey, Oliver, you know that becoming the heir is not a suggestion. It's not an option. In Hong Kong, Oliver and Akio are being hunted at the Botanical Gardens, okay? It was not a good idea to go there. The robber, Michael Murmurs, is heading to the police station for some reason, to do crime, probably. Felicity tries to call Lance to warn him that Michael Murmurs is on the move. He's not answering her, okay? He's done. Team Arrow and Quinn and Lance, they've broken up. Laurel is at the police station, and she's like, hey, Dad, can you please try to find it in your heart to forgive me? I am so sorry. And Lance is like, yeah, no, Laurel, I will always love you, but I will never be able to forgive you for this. This is, quite literally the most unforgivable thing you could have possibly done. Shots are fired at the police station. Michael Murmurs is there. Luckily, everyone shows up to fight this guy. In the Arrow Cave, Oliver tells Felicity that he knows what he's fighting for now. It's to keep the people that he loves safe. I am so glad we circled all the way back to this, Oliver. Love it when you come to the same realization. Felicity is like, Oliver, I will be happy as long as you're in my life. That's all she wants. In Hong Kong, while Oliver and Akio are running away from the Botanical Gardens, they run into none other than Shadow? Laurel and Nyssa are officially gal pals. They are best friends. Roy and Thea are also back to their little dating thing. Roz, dressed as the Arrow, comes to Starling City, kills a bunch of people, murder, leaves one guy alive, and tells him to spread the word of what he's seen here. End screen. The character with the most dramatic pauses this time was Oliver. He had 96. The character with the most quips was Thea. She had 8. And the character that I laughed at the most was also Thea. I laughed at her 4 times. The character with the most kills was Roz. He killed 7 people. Episode 17, Suicidal Tendencies. I'm trying something with the lights. Give me some grace. It's Lila and Diggle's big day, but OMG, the minister couldn't make it. He got deployed. Sucks. Good thing Ray is here at the wedding. Good thing Ray is here because Ray is a minister. So Ray officiates the wedding of Lila and John, and it goes well. Nobody dies at this wedding, if you could believe that. At the wedding, Laurel is there. She's got a cast on her arm. Oliver's like, yo, what the hell happened to you? And she explains that her new trainer is kind of intense. All of a sudden, everyone's phones start going off, and there's this big message that's like, the Arrow returns to killing. That's not good. Even worse is that Ray Palmer then goes on TV and makes a statement saying that he is going to devote all of his money resources to finding the Arrow and bringing him in for questioning. Diggle and Lila get in their car to go on their honeymoon because Oliver's like, listen, go on your honeymoon. We will deal with this Archer. Don't worry about it. So they get in their car to go on the honeymoon. Who is in the car? Dead hot dead shot Floyd Lawton. What would you do? If Floyd Lawton was sitting in your car. Title screen. Waller tells Lila and Diggle the sitch. Okay, they go to Argus. It's Suicide Squad time. So Waller is like, listen, there's an American senator trapped in the middle of a bomb threat in Cosnia. Their job is to send in the Suicide Squad to extract the senator and bring him back to America. Diggle agrees to go with Lila on the Suicide Squad mission, make it their honeymoon. Who is Task Force X? We got Dead Hot Deadshot and Carrie Cutter. And now also Lila and Diggle. So it's the four of them. They're going to Cosnia to rescue the senator. In the Arrow Cave, the swooshing sound effects are absolutely rampant while they're doing their training. Roy offers to help Oliver track down this impersonator that is killing people dressed as the Arrow, but Oliver insists that he needs to go alone because this is a League matter and he does not want Roy in the crosshairs of the League of Assassins. The Suicide Squad is suicide squatting, okay? They're all chatting about love, okay, because Diggle and Lila just got married. Carrie Cutter, she's Cupid stupid. She loves talking about love. Only person who does not have a love fever is Dead Hot Deadshot down here. He says, love is a bullet to the brain, and people like us, we can't have love. We get the first ever Floyd Lawton flashback. We see him returning home from war. Unspecified war, love that. He gets home and his wife is all happy to see him, but his baby girl Zoe, she doesn't remember who he is because she was just a little bitty baby when he left, and now she's just a little bitty like elementary school kid, and she doesn't know who this man is. She's like, Mommy, who is that? Team Arrow goes after a group of drug dealers, but of course they get intercepted by the League of Assassins and the impersonator Arrows. It's not Ra's al Ghul anymore. Now it's like Maceo and some other random members of the League. Ra's has better shit to do. They kill the drug dealers, and then Maceo tells Oliver that he could strike down every single fake Arrow impersonator that comes in, but there will always be more that follow. They have an infinite fucking supply. This will never end. Unless Oliver comes to Nanda Parbat and takes his rightful place as heir. Buckle up, guys. This next sequence of events is absolutely wild, bonkers, bananas, crazy. You're not ready. I'm not ready. But we have to, because it's happening. Ray Palmer, in his fuck-ass Atom suit, is flying around the city, and he sees the Arrow at this crime scene, okay? The League of Assassins guys all went away. All that's left is just the Arrow. He's just snooping around looking at shit, and there's also a pile of dead bodies. So Ray flies in a little closer, and he uses his X-ray scanner that he built into the head plate of the suit to do an X-ray scan, and he discovers that Oliver Queen is the Green Arrow. Huh? Wait, you're telling me that you could have just X-rayed this motherfucker the whole time? Why has nobody else done that? Ray goes up to Felicity, and he's like, Felicity, I know who the Arrow is, and you're never gonna believe it. And then he connects the dots, and he's like, wait a minute, you already know. You've been keeping this from me. You're working with him. Felicity. We're done. We're cooked. This relationship is over. They're beefing now. In the next part of the Floyd Lawton flashback, bro has major PTSD, and he ends up waving a gun around at his wife. She panics, freaks out, calls the cops. Floyd Lawton is arrested. Felicity finally tells everyone that Ray Palmer has a super suit, and he knows that Oliver's the Arrow. And Oliver is like, Felicity, when the fuck were you gonna tell us about the super suit? Ray Palmer takes his X-ray vision and his testimony to the police station, and he talks to Laurel, and she is not having this. She's like, oh, what, Ray, you think your uncorroborated testimony and your little X-ray scanner is enough to fool me? Okay, you could have faked that. You could be lying. That's not gonna hold up in court, so I suggest you stop trying to bring it to court. And then Ray's like, oh my fucking god. You're also in on it. You're all in on it. He's got this whole fucking place under his little fucking Don't worry, Laurel. I'll get justice the old-fashioned way. I don't need you. Ray is on a warpath. Ray wants nothing more than to fucking destroy the Arrow. He wants Oliver outed. He wants Oliver done. He wants him cooked. Suicide Squad finally gets to the location. They're at a hospital, and there's the senator and a bunch of other hostages, and the senator gets so fucking mad when the Suicide Squad shows up. He's like, oh my God, you foiled my goddamn plan, bro. Like, this was all a PR stunt. I faked the bombing, and it was just supposed to help me boost my publicity for when I run for president. But now that you bitches have shown up and cock-blocked my publicity stunt, I have to kill all of the hostages because now they're all witnesses. Shootout starts. Floyd Lawton ends up pushing Carrie Cutter out of the way of a bullet, and he does take a bullet for her. So now, of course, Miss Girl is obsessed with Floyd Lawton. She gets, like, the tiniest bit of male attention, and that's all it takes. Like, I am right there with her. She may be the most relatable character in the show. You know? I do all of the things that she does. Cut that out. Oliver shows up to Palmer Tech to try to talk to Ray. You know, try to let him see reason, explain the whole impersonator situation. Ray is not to be reasoned with. Ray is not having it. Ray hits Oliver with the most banger insults and lines that I've ever heard him say. When Oliver gets to Palmer Tech, Ray asks him if he found the place all right. Whoa. And then Oliver's like, Ray, you don't understand. There's an impersonator who's impersonating me, and he's the one that's killing all these people. It's not me. And Ray says, oh, an impersonator. I hate it when that happens. He tells Oliver that he doesn't give a fuck about his impersonator and his bullshit story. He's going to take the Arrow down. Lila is going through it. She's like, oh my fucking god, we're all gonna die in this hospital. Baby Sara is going to be an orphan. We're the worst parents ever, John. How could we do this to our baby? Why are we both here? Why are we both about to die? Oh my god. And then Floyd Lawton stands up and he's like, no, bitch. None of us are dying here. You're getting home to your little baby. We are gonna suicide ourselves out of the squad. No, we're gonna squad ourselves out of the suicide. We're gonna squad up and say no to suicide. In the last part of the Floyd Lawton flashback, he meets with a woman who is not Amanda Waller, but she is presented in the exact same way Amanda Waller is. She says she's from Hive, and her little organization is going to offer him big money to kill some dude called Andy Diggle. Felicity and Oliver get into it, where he's like, Felicity, your fucking boyfriend is an unstable jerkwad who won't see reason. And Felicity's like, well, there's a 911 call about an incident on a power plant. Oliver's worried that that's where Maceo is going to attack next, so he goes to the power plant. Turns out it was a fake out. Ray faked the 911 call. He is waiting at the power plant to ambush Oliver and Roy. He shoots Roy with a beam of lightning, and bro just flips off the screen. It's the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. Ray and Oliver get into it. Ray starts trying to hit Oliver with little beams of lightning or whatever. Oliver is stronger than Ray, even though Ray is in a fucking war robot suit. Oliver just, like, hits his suit with an arrow, breaks a couple of wires. Ray is completely powered down, and then Oliver goes up to him and he's like, the man you think I am would have just fucking killed you right now. You owe Felicity an apology. Tragedy is about to fucking strike in Cosnia, okay? The Suicide Squad is trying to get out of the hospital. They're trying to save the hostages. Everyone gets out except Floyd Lawton. He goes back in. He provides covering fire so that they can all get out. But he's not going to be able to get out in time. And he goes down. He suicided for the squad, guys! No! Rest in peace, dead hot, dead shot, Floyd Lawton, Carrie Cutter, and I will miss you very much. Felicity and Ray talk, and they make up, so they're not beefing anymore. Diggle and Lila get back to Starling City. They reunite with baby Sara. Everyone's fine. Everyone's great. Diggle is like, Lila, I'm gonna quit Team Arrow. And Lila's like, oh my god, that's crazy. I just resigned from Argus. Ray goes back to the mayor of the city, and he's like, yeah, the Arrow is being framed. I have proof, and it's, right now, it's just trust me, bro, but, like, we're friends, we're tight. And then Maceo shoots the mayor through the window. Girl dies. Rest in peace, the mayor. And then Maceo, he's out there still, ready to shoot somebody else. Who's he aiming his little bow at? Felicity. End screen. The character with the most dramatic pauses was Oliver. He had 54. And also Ray had 54. It was a tie. The character with the most quips was Ray. He had 10. And the character I laughed at the most was Ray. I laughed at him 10 times. The character with the most kills was Deadshot. I counted 10, but it was probably more. Episode 18. Public Enemy. Ray jumps in the way to save Felicity, and he ends up getting shot in the chest with the arrow. Title screen! Captain Lance reinstates the anti-vigilante task force and gives shoot-to-kill orders for the Arrow and all of his friends. In Hong Kong, we finally follow up with Shadow, who is not actually Shadow, but Shadow's twin sister. Oliver's like, hey, do you mind? Me and my little friend here, we need a place to lie low. Can we go to your house? And she accepts, mostly because she just would love the story on how he knows Shadow, because girl here has no clue what happened to Shadow. Lance goes up to Laurel and he's like, who's the Arrow? You know who he is, tell me who he is. And she does not tell him. In the hospital, bad news. Ray Palmer has a massive blood clot. And if they do the surgery to remove it, it could leave him with permanent brain damage. But if they don't do the surgery to remove it, then he could die. Ray is like, well, that's no problem, doctor, because I invented some nanobots, and you can just inject the nanobots into me, and they'll go in and they'll shrink the blood clot, and then I'll be fine. And the doctor's like, that sounds wonderful, Ray, except at this hospital, we are not authorized to perform experimental surgeries, such as your fuck-ass nanobot shit. And so, Ray's shit out of luck. And Felicity's mad. She's like, wait, you mean to tell me you can't perform the surgery even if bro consents? And he's like, it's just the hospital's policy, sorry. But then Donna Smoak shows up, okay? Woo! Donna Smoak is like, hi! Oliver asks Nyssa for help stopping Ra's al Ghul. Nyssa does not help Oliver take him down because she refuses to take up arms against her father no matter how much she hates that bitch. But she does tell him where he can find Roz. A fight breaks out and Roz shows up at the end of it and he gives Oliver an ultimatum. He can get in this helicopter and come to Nanda Parbat and become the heir, as is written in the scriptures, or he can stay in Starling and then get arrested by the police, as there is currently a police helicopter en route, and they're surrounded by policemen. Oliver, of course, does not go to Nanda Parbat with Roz, and the police start chasing him. Laurel gets saved by Nyssa. Oliver gets in a van and Diggle drives away. Roy is not so lucky. He ends up having to take a little detour. He gets himself cornered, but he does manage to make it back to the Arrow Cave. Once everyone gets back to the Arrow Cave, the team is finally filled in on Oliver's little heir situation. He finally tells everyone. In Hong Kong, we learn that Shadow's twin sister's name is May, and she asks Oliver how he knows Shadow. Oliver lies. He says his name is Tommy, and he met Shadow at medical school. He tells May that he doesn't know what happened to her, and then he goes and gets in the shower, and May walks by while he's shirtless, and she sees the tattoo on Oliver's shoulder, which is the same tattoo that Shadow had. Donna goes up to Felicity, and she says, bad news, I tried to convince that doctor to do the nanosurgery, but he just will not be convinced, so it looks like you're gonna have to do DIY nanosurgery yourself, Felicity. And Felicity's like, you want me to what? And she's like, well, it's either that or he dies. So Felicity, of course, has to do DIY nanotech girlboss surgery. Maceo kidnaps Lance, and he reveals that the Arrow is Oliver Queen. Captain Lance tells Laurel that he knows about Oliver, and the whole police station now knows that Oliver is the Arrow, and they have sent policemen to the Arrow Cave and the Queen Loft, and everywhere Oliver Queen goes, he is about to be brought to justice. In the hospital, Donna distracts the doctor while Felicity does nanosurgery on Ray. In Hong Kong, May confronts Oliver. She's demanding answers about the tattoo, and then she says that she called the cops on him. The cops don't show up. It's some of Shreve's snipers, okay? They start sniping. A shootout begins, and May is freaking out. Lance does a press release, tells the entire city that Oliver Queen is the Arrow. Oliver goes to Diggle's house because he has nowhere else to fucking go. In Hong Kong, Maceo and Tatsu show up, and they're able to save Oliver and Akio and May. In the hospital, drama alert, all this shit with Oliver, it's really dramatic, but you know what's even more dramatic? Ray says, I love you, to Felicity, but she does not say it back. And that is 10 times more interesting than whatever bullshit is happening with Oliver at this point. Like, give me the Felicity love triangle, please, that's all I want. I'm just a girl after all. Oliver turns himself into the police. Boring. Can we go back to Felicity and Ray? In Hong Kong, Oliver tells May the truth, that him and Yao Fei and Shadow were on an island together, and both of those bitches are dead. In the Arrow Cave, the team is freaking out. They're like, we can't let Oliver go down for this. No, we need to do something. What do they choose to do? Well, Roy puts on the Green Arrow suit, and then he goes out and stops Oliver's prison transfer, and he pulls his hood down and he says, I am the Arrow. End screen. Stats for this episode. The character with the most dramatic pauses was Oliver. He had 77. The character with the most quips was a tie between Felicity and Lance. They both had 5. The character that I laughed at the most was Donna. I laughed at her 3 times. And the character with the most kills was Maceo. He killed 1 person. Episode 19. Broken Arrow. At the Starling National Bank, a dude who can shoot deadly lasers from his eyeballs robs the bank. Roy is brought in and Oliver gets unarrested. Oliver is not happy that Roy is trying to take the fall for him. Ray and Felicity have a little talk, and Ray is like, hey, that whole I love you thing at the hospital, that wasn't a big deal, actually. Like, don't worry about it. It's okay that you didn't say it back, because, like, I wasn't even thinking when I said it. Like, it just came out, you know, like adrenaline, all the nanobots. It was the nanobots, for sure. Yeah, sorry, let's just forget about it. Roy does not look good in orange. But he tells Oliver that this is what he wants. He's at peace with this decision, and he does not want Oliver to try and stop him. In Hong Kong, the gang, our main 3 here, Maceo, Tatsu, and Oliver, they think that the snipers were Amanda Waller's snipers. I said they were Shreve's. These fuckers think that that was Amanda Waller. So they plan on breaking into Argus and having a chat with Amanda Waller to see what the fuck her deal is. Malcolm is like, hey Oliver, the longer that you procrastinate on taking up the mantle as the new Ra's al Ghul, the more whack shit Ra's is gonna do, and it's only a matter of time before he starts targeting people that you love. Oliver's like, I kind of have a bigger problem right now. I have to break Roy out of prison. Then we cut over to Thea, and I really hope that this is not the show's way of foreshadowing. Thea's not happy that Roy's in jail. She's like, this can't be right, Oliver. Please fix this. And he's like, I'm working on it. But also, we have to deal with Laser Eyes over here. Plasma Man is running around robbing banks because there's no more Arrow, so the metahumans might as well come over to Starling City and start doing crimes there, right? Because now there's no Arrow to stop them. While they're talking about this, Lance shows up with a warrant to search the Arrow Cave. He goes down there, and the Arrow Cave is still intact. Title screen! Despite the Arrow Cave still being intact, the only fingerprints on all that shit are Roy's. So they can't arrest anybody else. It's just Roy. Oliver can't go after Plasma Man with all the heat on him right now. And Barry Allen is a little busy at the moment, dealing with some wheelchair shenanigans. So Oliver is forced to enlist the help of Ray Palmer and his super suit. Ray is very excited to team up. Ray flipped the switch on Team Arrow very quickly. He was like, okay, I thought you were evil, and now I know that you're not evil, and now it's actually you're cool. In Hong Kong, Oliver breaks into Argus. He discovers that Amanda Waller was not behind the sniper attack at May's house. It was Shreve. Shreve actually has Amanda Waller locked up in Argus because he doesn't want her getting out and telling the truth. This is getting stupid. Amanda Waller tells Oliver that Shreve's big plan is to unleash the Alpha Omega virus on Hong Kong, just for shits and giggles, apparently. Shreve and the rest of the military men have developed a vaccine so they can inoculate themselves, but everybody else in the city is about to fucking die. Ray gets a location on Plasma Man. Oliver is like, yo, you're not ready for that just yet. Ray is like, I have my suit. Nothing can hurt me when I'm in my suit. He suits up in his Tin Man suit and he flies out to fight Plasma Man. Plasma Man kicks his ass, cooks his ass. His suit is roasting. His suit got microwaved like a Salisbury steak when I come home from work at 11 p.m. Ray comes back beaten, bruised, and battered, and Oliver's like, I fucking told you so. And Ray is like, but my suit. Oliver tells Ray that he needs to rely on himself and not his fucking suit. In Hong Kong, the main three are like, we need to get this vaccine and we need to inoculate ourselves. In a prison, Roy gets attacked by 3 men. He manages to fight them off while being handcuffed, and the only injury to him is 1 slash down the back.
Just remember, that was without arrows.
Roy is goated. That's impressive. Roy, when did he get those moves? When did he do it? Because damn, Roy, damn. He's been doing parkour all over the city, and now that was impressive. Short King Roy Harper is chosen coded. Frank number 1 makes a cameo. Frank number 1, the first Frank, he's like, hey, Quentin Lance, my friend, you really need to stop going after Oliver. This is bad optics right now, okay? They already arrested Roy. He already confessed to being the Arrow. So you going after Oliver Queen and making a big fucking stink about this, it's going to, like, blow up in your face. How about cool it? Stop. After hearing about this attack on Roy in prison, Oliver's like, no, we have to break him out. We have to break him out right now. Felicity tries to help Oliver understand that they cannot break Roy out of prison. She's like, hey, no, he belongs there. Leave him there. He wants to be there. Roy would be very angry if you tried to break his ass out of prison. And during this conversation, she almost slips up and says that she loves Oliver. That'd be weird and wacky if that was true. In Hong Kong, Oliver, Maseo, and Tatsu find the vaccine. Felicity goes and puts herself in harm's way. She gets attacked by Plasma Man. Ray shows up in his suit. He is still useless, but luckily, Ray's Atom suit has a Bluetooth connection to a headset that Oliver can put on, and then when Oliver wears the headset and uses the fucking Wii remote and nunchuck, he can control Ray's suit from wherever he's at. But something happens to sever their Bluetooth connection, and Ray has to end up fighting Plasma Man on his own. He does manage to defeat Plasma Man and save Felicity, so that's good. In prison, one of the guards shanks Roy, and he dies. Or does he? Turns out, Roy's not dead. They brought him back to the Arrow Cave and he's very much alive. This whole thing was an elaborate fucking plan that they did not let Oliver in on. Finally. Thank God, I love it when shit goes over Oliver's head. I love it when Oliver is not included. The prison guard that shanked Roy was an Argus agent, and he did it in just the right way to make everyone think that Roy was dead, and then he snuck Roy out of the prison, brought him back to the Arrow Cave, and now Roy is going to start a new life in a different city and disappear, essentially. Good for Roy. In Hong Kong, Oliver is like, hey, Maseo, Tatsu, you go. Get yourself in a Kyo out of here. I'm staying behind because I need to stop Shreve from releasing this bioweapon on the city. And Maseo and Tatsu are like, we are not going anywhere if you're not coming with us. So the main 3 decide to stay in Hong Kong and fight Shreve. At Star Labs, love a Star Labs cameo, Cisco is chatting with Ray Palmer. They have Plasma Man in the pipeline at Star Labs. Cisco discovers that Plasma Man was not in Central City when the particle accelerator went boom boom. So they're like, how could he possibly be a metahuman if his particles were not accelerated? Hold on. In the loft, no one told Thea about Roy not actually being dead, so she is in mourning. She's grieving over a glass of wine when all of a sudden, Ra's al Ghul busts through the window, fights Thea, stabs her with a sword all the way through the fucking chest, and then leaves. End screen. That's for this episode. The character with the most dramatic pauses was Oliver. He had 53. The character with the most quips was Lance. He had 6. The character that I laughed at the most was Oliver. I laughed at him 3 times. And the character with the most kills was Ra's al Ghul with 2. Episode 20, The Fallen. Thea is still breathing somehow. Just stabbed. She's still alive. They rush her to the hospital. The doctors manage to stabilize her, but they're not going to be able to save her. Like, girlie is gonna die. Malcolm shows up at the hospital and he starts full on crying. In Hong Kong, the main three watch through binoculars as General Shreve mixes the Alpha and Omega together, arming the bioweapon. Tatsu is wearing some fabulous glitter eyeshadow for the occasion, and then Oliver steals a car for them to get in. So, I'm so done with the Hong Kong plotline. It's so boring. What is even the point? In the hospital, Oliver looks out the window and he sees a League smoke signal, so he goes there. Maceo tells him that Roz will bring Thea back to life using the Lazarus Pit if he accepts his role as heir and joins them at Nanda Parbat. Where the fuck is the title screen? At the Queen Loft, Oliver fills Felicity, Diggle, and Malcolm in on the situation. He is going to the League of Assassins. He's gonna take up his place as heir to the demon to save Thea using the Lazarus Pit. Malcolm goes, whoa, back up, pause. Lazarus Pit? I'm sorry, we can't throw my daughter in the Lazarus Pit. Do you have any idea what that'll do to her? And he's like, it'll bring her back to life. Yeah, I do know. And Malcolm is like, no. If you put Thea in the Lazarus Pit, she'll be alive, but she won't be the same. A piece of her soul will be missing. It's like Voldemort and the Horcruxes. Like, you don't come back whole after that. So Malcolm's very against this, but this is the one time that Oliver chooses not to listen to Malcolm. Felicity agrees to come with Oliver to the League of Assassins because if this works and Thea does come back to life, someone's gonna need to take her home. They need to borrow another high-flying mode of transportation, so Felicity, of course, goes to talk to Ray. Pause. Malcolm still has a private jet. We could still get on Malcolm's private jet, but no, we're gonna go mess around with Ray a little bit, just to throw him in here. Get some Ray in the Arrow salad today. He lets her, and then he's also like, hey, Felicity, I know why you didn't say that you loved me. It's because you still love Oliver, and I can't be in a relationship with you and know that fact. So we're done, but like we're also still gonna be good friends. Still love you, girl. Felicity apologizes to Ray, saying that she never meant to hurt him, and I'm just like, Ray does not belong here. Ray does not belong in this show. Get Ray out of here. The type of show that this guy belongs in is something campier, something goofier. Maybe something like a show where you have to go fly around in a time machine and stop a time-traveling super demon with a wacky cast of characters, including a bunch of reformed supervillains and an undead hottie and a fucking awful British person. But that would be so weird and wacky. Like, there's no way that's a real show. On the private jet, we got Oliver, Felicity, Diggle, OG Team Arrow, plus Malcolm. He's also here. So again, I'm just wondering why we couldn't have taken Malcolm's private jet. Oliver tells Felicity the story about how back in ye olden days 5 years ago in Hong Kong, when he came back to Starling City, he killed Thea's drug dealer. And he explains that everything he's ever wanted was to protect his family, and he will not let Thea die. Like, he'll do anything in his power to keep the girl breathing. In Hong Kong, the main three attack a transport truck, thinking the virus is in there. But shocker, the virus is not in there, making this entire sequence a huge waste of time. And I'm only telling it to you because the show wasted my time, and now I get to waste yours. OG Team Arrow and Malcolm arrive at the League of Assassins. Maceo talks to Diggle, and he tells Diggle the story about why he joined the League of Assassins. It's because his son died in his arms. And I sure hope that's not this show's way of foreshadowing. But not the death part, like the other part. They lower Thea into the pit. It's this huge, creepy ritual, like actually kind of scary. And they put her in the pit, and she jumps out of there swinging like a spider monkey. It's giving Tarzan. When Thea wakes up from this whatever the hell, she is confused. She doesn't know right from left. She doesn't know up from down. Felicity, seeing Thea in this state, she's like, oh my god, this is so fucked up. This is so beyond fucked up. I cannot believe that we're letting this happen collectively as a group. So she goes to talk to Ra's al Ghul and give him a piece of her mind. That's incredibly Iris West coded when she goes to like chew out the Reverse Flash. Like, what is up with the leading ladies of these shows? Just like walking up to the villains. Why are we doing that? But luckily for Felicity, Ra's al Ghul is understanding and compassionate in this moment. He tells her that many hundreds of centuries ago or whatever, back in absolute ye olden days when the dinosaurs roamed the world, he had a wife and a child, and they were all taken from him, and he knows the devastation that it feels to have loved ones taken from you. He tells her to go express all the love that she feels to Oliver now before he's lost to her forever. And oh boy does she. She goes to Oliver and they sleep together in the League of Assassins. need to point out that this is the longest sex scene so far in the Arrowverse. I had to see it, so I need you to know what I saw. In Hong Kong, Main 3 discovers that the virus is in a food cart somewhere. So now they're out looking for a food cart. After their little romp around in the sheets, Felicity pours Oliver a glass of wine, but the wine is poisoned, and she knocks Oliver unconscious. Then Felicity and Diggle grab Oliver and Thea, they go up to Malcolm, they're like, hey, we gotta sneak out of this bitch. You've been Roz's right-hand stooge for years, direct quote, how do we get out of here? So Malcolm, unwillingly, leads these bitches through the catacombs, but they do get stopped and caught, and they're about to be shot down, but then Oliver regains consciousness, and he's like, guys, no, in the name of Ra's al Ghul or whatever, like, just let him go, whatever, I'll come back. Thea regains full consciousness, she remembers everything that happened to her, and she's like, I hate my life so much, my life sucks major ass. And then Malcolm is like, Thea, let me help you, okay, now that I don't have the League to run from, I don't have anything to lie to you about anymore, so now I can just be your dad. Please let me be your dad, please, it's all I want. Felicity tells Laurel everything that happened about Oliver. They're back in Starling now, by the way. Roz, back at the League, he's like, yo, I know one of you bitches helped them escape. Which one of you was the traitor? Who is it? And Maseo volunteers himself. And he's like, here, you can kill me now if you want. And then Roz is like, I'm not gonna kill you, Maseo. I'm not gonna kill Sarab for Maseo's actions. What does that even mean, bro? Does everyone in the League of Assassins have, like, split personality disorder? Roz asks Maseo, Sarab, whoever the fuck, to help assist Oliver in his transformation, because Oliver Queen is dead. He needs to be dead to everyone, including Oliver. In Hong Kong, they find the food truck, they fight some dudes, but oh no, the virus breaks open and now it's in the air. Oh no. Oliver is branded by the League of Assassins. The symbol that is now on his back is the arrowhead. The very same arrowhead that has been at the center of the title screen this entire time. Title screen! He dresses up in full League of Assassins attire, and Roz is like, it's time to start your transformation. End screen. Stats for this episode: the character with the most dramatic pauses was Oliver, he had 96. The character with the most quips was Felicity, she had 11. The character I laughed at the most was Felicity, I laughed at her 4 times. And the character with the most kills was Maseo, he had 4. Episode 21. Sah-him. We get an Oliver at the League of Assassins montage. He literally sleeps chained to the floor. Honestly good, he deserves that. And then in a divergent level simulation, Oliver has to kill Diggle. In Hong Kong, people start dying on the street. Oh no. Roz drops a lore bomb about some dude called Damien Dark. And that's Dark spelled D-A-R-H-K because he's edgy as fuck. So this Damien Dark fellow was training at the same time as Roz himself was, and both of them had a claim to the Demon's Throne, the League of Assassins crown. So of course, Roz and Damien had to do a boss fight at the end of it, and whoever won was gonna be Ra's al Ghul. During this fight, Roz hesitated, giving Damien Dark just enough time to escape, and he escaped the League of Assassins with some water from the Lazarus Pit, and a group of loyal supporters. I'm sorry, a hive of loyal supporters. Roz reveals that it was Damien Dark who tried to purchase the Argus Actual, remember that database with the list of all the Argus family members and stuff? And it was also Damien Dark who tried to purchase Malcolm Merlin's prototype earthquake machine in season 2. What's he trying to do with all these gadgets? Roz is like, do not make the same mistake I did. You cannot let other people with a claim to your throne roam free. You have to eliminate them. Bro is talking about his own daughter right now. What? Roz. Title screen. Laurel has not given up her fight. She and Nyssa are still training. Laurel and Nyssa go out for milkshakes. Nyssa has never had a milkshake before in her life. Laurel loves keeping secrets. That's her favorite hobby. She finally tells Nyssa that Oliver accepted Roz's proposal to become the demon. And Nyssa's like, I cannot believe you kept this from me, and she storms out of there. Thea and Felicity have dinner with Lila and Diggle. The 4 of them toast to Oliver, saying gone, but never forgotten. In Hong Kong, would you believe me if I told you another gunfight breaks out? Oliver arrives back in Starling City to try to kill Nyssa. Nyssa stands up to face him. Laurel and the rest of the team suit up and follow Nyssa. because they don't want any of this to be happening. Diggle and Felicity still strongly believe that despite Roz's best efforts, Oliver is still Oliver. He is not gone. Nyssa and Laurel are like, yo, that's wishful thinking. Thea rolls up to the Arrow cave and she's like, hey, Felicity, can I join Team Arrow? Let me in. Felicity's like, no. Thea insists that she can get through to Oliver if she just talks to him. Like, just let me talk to him, Felicity. But Felicity is like, absolutely not. He is dangerous. He's off his rocker right now. You cannot go near him. Oliver confronts Nyssa. He's about to kill her when Laurel rolls up, dressed in her little canary outfit. And what's this? She's got a new accessory. It's a choker, but the choker has a sonic device on it, so when Laurel screams, it's like a canary cry, and it blasts everybody backwards with the strength of sound waves, and it, like, everyone shuts their ears, like, it's too loud, you know? Where did she get that? Why, Cisco Ramon, of course. They're friends now. After the dust settles on this fight, Laurel asks Nyssa why she just gave up on life so easily. They were having a great time with their milkshakes just the day before, and Nyssa is like, I was marked for death when Oliver decided to become the heir, so my life is over. Felicity and John Diggle come to terms with the fact that Oliver is no longer Oliver. This dude is a menace. That is not the same guy that was their friend and leader. Malcolm and Thea have a little talk where Thea is like, hey, I just want to talk to Oliver. Like, let me in there, coach. Let me talk to him. And Malcolm is like, that's the dumbest idea you've ever had in your damn life, Thea. Just stay on the couch. Just take a nap. Oliver kidnaps Lila. He demands that Diggle brings him Nyssa in exchange for Lila. I'm sorry, they had meals together. Diggle and Felicity are mad, and they confront Nyssa and Laurel, and they're like, hey, Nyssa, you have to give yourself up. We can't let Lila get harmed, okay? She has a child. Nyssa agrees to turn herself in. Lila tries to talk some sense into Oliver while she's kidnapped. He's not listening. It's like in one ear, out the other. I am not Oliver Queen. Oliver Queen is dead. I am Sah-him or whatever. In Hong Kong, Main 3 reunites with Akio, and they need to get out of the city. At the Nyssa-Lila exchange, a fight breaks out. Nyssa ends up getting captured and taken back to the League, and then Oliver has a moment where he's about to kill Diggle, it would seem, but then Thea swoops in, dressed in Roy's hoodie. She shoots Oliver in the hand with an arrow. At Nanda Parbat, Roz discovers something that Nyssa was trying to hide in her sword. He does not have Oliver kill Nyssa. Instead, he spares Nyssa's life and forces her to marry Oliver. That's worse, in my opinion. In Hong Kong, Main 3 and their son get in the car and they start driving out of the city, but what's this? Akio is bleeding from his mouth. Felicity finally tells Thea that Roy is still alive. She didn't know that, so now her day got a little bit brighter. Ra's al Ghul reveals the final part of Oliver's ascension and his big evil boss plan for the season. Oliver needs to unleash the Alpha Omega bioweapon, which is the thing that Nyssa had hidden in her sword. He needs to unleash the Alpha Omega on Starling City, completely destroy his home, thus eliminating all his ties to the mortal world and severing Oliver Queen from everyone's memory forever, permanently, ever. And then he can be Ra's al Ghul. That's how that works. End screen. So, stats for this episode. The character with the most dramatic pauses was Roz. He had 75, which is way more than all of the other characters. The character with the most quips was Felicity and Thea. They tied with 4. The character that I laughed at the most was Lila. She got me twice. And Lila also had the most kills with 2. Episode 22. This is your sword. Hong Kong is in shambles. Everyone is trying to evacuate. It's chaos. Roz tells Oliver that it was Maceo who brought him the Alpha Omega bioweapon in exchange for entrance to the League of Assassins. And Roz tells Oliver that in order to fully ascend, he must unleash it on Starling City. Title screen. Laurel and Diggle are still out here, kicking ass. Diggle has finally put his suit back on. Well, he doesn't really have a suit to begin with. Thea tells Malcolm that she is leaving the city to be with Roy. Malcolm is all for it. He's like, yes, you should definitely leave the city. Nyssa does not want to marry Oliver. Roz does not care. To add insult to the injury, he literally is like, Nyssa, I need you to bear me an heir. Not only is Ra's al Ghul homophobic, he's also a misogynist. Who would have guessed? Oliver sneaks out of the League of Assassins to have a clandestine fireside chat. With who? Malcolm Merlyn, it's time to unveil steps 1 and 2 of Malcolm Merlyn's master plan, part 2, Electric Boogaloo, here we go again. They're both stressed because everything is happening faster than they thought it would. Oliver's ascension is happening faster. They do not have enough time to prepare for the Alpha Omega bioweapons release. Since Oliver was a little too convincing around his friends, Malcolm is worried that they're not gonna trust him when he rolls up to the Arrow Cave and is like, hey guys, it was all an act. And so Oliver's like, that's not a problem. I'll bring in the big guns. I have someone who can convince them. In Hong Kong, Akio is dying, and Maseo wants to try and find a cure. Thea finds Roy in a different city, posing as a mechanic named Jason. Felicity has a little chat with Ray, all good vibes, and Ray asks her to sign a paper. Doesn't tell her what it's for. This paper will transfer the ownership of Palmer Tech to Felicity. She doesn't know that she just signed this, by the way. Then, she gets a text from Malcolm Merlyn, who pops up in her phone as just Malcolm. I refuse to believe that Felicity Smoak has Malcolm saved in her phone as Malcolm. No, she would have a way more creative and clever name for that motherfucker. It'd be something goofy like Right-Hand Stooge, or like Sarah's Murderer, or Male Manipulator, something along those lines. It wouldn't just be Malcolm. Felicity's more cute and creative than that. Oliver and Maseo are chatting at the League of Assassins, and Maseo reveals that he stole the Alpha Omega because he wanted to use it to get revenge on Shreve for killing Akio. And he ended up using it to trade his way into the League of Assassins instead. Oliver tells Maseo that once he becomes Roz, he can release him from the League, and he can go wherever he wants. And Maseo is like, Oliver, that's cute and kind and all, but nothing can free me from my prison. Release from the League will not free me from my prison. Of course, when Malcolm goes to tell Felicity, Diggle, and Laurel that Oliver is actually still Oliver and everything is fine and he didn't mean it when he kidnapped Lila, it was all a hoax, guys, please believe me, they don't believe him. So he brings in the big guns. What's that? It's Tatsu, a woman who none of these people have ever met nor heard of in the slightest. So Tatsu comes in and she tells the gang her whole story. How she met Oliver in Hong Kong and they had an interaction with the bioweapon there and she's seen it firsthand and she knows that it's serious and it killed her son. She doesn't really understand the full beef between Team Arrow and Malcolm. She wasn't clued in on that. But she asks them to put aside their differences and work with Malcolm for Oliver's sake because he needs them. Malcolm says that there is a private jet that belongs to him and not Ray Palmer because we could have just used Malcolm's jet before, waiting to take them to Nanda Parbat, and it's up to them if they decide to get on it. Thea gives Roy his Arsenal jacket, and then they have sex. Team Arrow is watching some graphic footage of the Alpha Omega virus devastating Hong Kong. Laurel and Diggle are convinced by this footage and Tatsu's testimony, and they agree to go to Nanda Parbat and help Oliver. Felicity is still on the fence about it. Roz gives Nyssa a wedding present. That does not make Nyssa any happier about the situation. Felicity gets one final visit from Tatsu, who tries to convince her not to give up on Oliver the same way that she gave up on Maseo, because Maseo is lost to her forever, but if she comes with them to Nanda Parbat, she can still save Oliver. Felicity ends up joining the team on the private jet to Nanda Parbat. When they get there, the plan is for Felicity to hack into the plane. She's gonna hack into this remote-controlled plane that has the bioweapon in it and stop it from charting its course to Starling City, while everybody else deals with the assassin part of the League of Assassins. Ray ends up showing up to this event and he shoots down the plane when Felicity's hack ultimately doesn't work. During this fight, Maseo and Tatsu get into it. Swords slashing, fight, and then Tatsu ends up killing Maseo. Maseo, in his dying breaths, thanks his ex-wife for freeing him from his prison. Roz and Oliver show up, and the team, who now includes Ray, are standing there triumphant, like, haha, loser, we just destroyed your bioweapon, wah. But then Roz pulls the Alpha Omega out of his pocket, and he's like, checkmate, bitch. They all get locked up in League of Assassins jail together. Felicity is also very angry upon hearing that Oliver and Nyssa are getting married. That's very troubling for her. Felicity, you have bigger problems. Oliver ends up taking Diggle aside for a minute, and Diggle is like, listen, man, I'll never trust you again. I don't care what you say, or what Malcolm says, or what your little friend from Hong Kong says. I will never trust you again. You kidnapped my wife. In Hong Kong, Oliver and Maseo kidnap General Shreve and force him to bring the cure to Akio. Malcolm, in Malcolm Merlin fashion, of course, will not go down without trying to pin the blame on someone else. So he demands an audience with Ra's al Ghul, and he claims that Oliver is lying to them. This is all a setup, and Oliver still hasn't fully become the heir. Oliver is like, of course not, I would never lie. I am so Ra's al Ghul coded, I am so League of Assassins pilled. And Ra's is like, okay, we'll see about that. So he throws Malcolm back in the cell with all of the other guys. Thea can't find Roy because he left, and he left her a note, and he told her, hey, you deserve a better life than being on the run with me, so please go back to Starling City, and forget about me, and move on with your life, Thea. Okay, bye-bye. Oliver steals the team back inside League of Assassins jail, and he tosses the vial of Alpha Omega bioweapon into the jail. Tatsu, because she has been inoculated against this virus, is taken somewhere else to be killed in a different way. In Hong Kong, turns out Shreve was lying. There is no cure. There is no cure for the Alpha Omega. There is no Santa Claus, and there is no Queen of England. So Akio dies. Shreve's men followed them, so now the main three are cornered. Let the wedding commence, while everybody else dies in a cell. That's so sad. End screen. The stats for this episode. The character with the most dramatic pauses was Roz. He had 58. The character with the most quips was Felicity. She had 7. The character I laughed at the most was Malcolm. I laughed at him 4 times, and Malcolm had the most kills with 4. Episode 23. My name is Oliver Queen. Oliver wakes up on a plane to Starling City with Roz and Nyssa. They are of course on the way to drop the Alpha Omega virus. It appears there is something wrong with the plane. Team Arrow, who is not dead, okay? Everybody that was in that cell wakes up. This is of course step 3 of Malcolm Merlin's master manipulation plan, and Malcolm reveals that he secretly inoculated all of them against the Alpha Omega bioweapon. How are they supposed to escape Nanda Parbat jail? Okay, riddle me this, Malcolm. Barry Allen, of course. He comes running in, and he busts them out of League of Assassins jail, ties up all of the assassins that are running around, and Tatsu is also freed as well. Barry tells the team that Oliver is still a good guy. He's still one of us, okay? So don't give up on him just yet. And then he speeds away. Team Arrow, including Ray and Laurel and Malcolm, get on the private jet and head back to Starling City. Tatsu stays behind, wanting nothing more than to return to her life of solitude from which she crawled out of. Tatsu's done, and I'm right there with her. On the plane with Oliver and Ra's al Ghul and Nyssa, Oliver reveals that he sabotaged the plane, and then a fight breaks out. And at the end of this fight, the plane is going down. Ra's al Ghul has the Alpha Omega virus. He jumps out of the plane and vows to Oliver that he is going to destroy the city. Then Oliver and Nyssa are still on the plane, and they're like, oh my god, the plane's going down, like we gotta do something. Title screen. Oliver and Nyssa safely crash the plane in a field. In Hong Kong, Oliver tortures Shreve. Oliver reunites with the team. John Diggle wastes no time in punching Oliver directly in the face, which he deserves. Oliver reveals that the plan was for him to kill Ra's al Ghul while they were on the plane, but unfortunately, Bro escaped. Also part of the plan, Oliver was supposed to die as well, because he didn't have a plan for how to come back and repair his relationships. The team still agrees to rally behind him and help save the city from the bioweapon nonetheless. In Hong Kong, Maseo and Tatsu walk in and they see what Oliver has done to Shreve, and oh my god, it's atrocious. So Maseo just shoots him in the face and ends his misery. Team Arrow discovers that one Damien Dark is in Starling City. Damien D-A-H-R-K. D-R-H-K? D-A-Dahark. Hawk to a Girl would have fun with that name. Their plan is to find Damien DeHark, kidnap him, and then use him to trade for the Alpha Omega virus. When they pull up to the address that they suspect Damien Dark is at, he is not there. It's some other random guy who tells them that they just missed Mr. Dark. Roz calls Oliver on the phone and he's like, hey, we are not finished. I am spreading this virus through the city using 4 vessels. You will not be able to stop all of them in time. Have fun watching your city burn. Tee-hee, tee-hee, XOXO, Ra's al Ghul. It is truly a shame that Barry Allen is tied up in his own ordeal right now, because he could totally just... Laurel tries to get her father's help Lance has returned to drinking. He is not having a great time. His life is kind of in the hole again. She tries to convince him to help because the bioweapon is going to kill everyone. And he's like, I don't give a fuck about you or your bioweapon, Laurel. In Hong Kong, Museo leaves Tatsu and goes to the League of Assassins. Felicity gives Oliver a pep talk, and then they discover the locations of the 4 people with the virus. Lance comes around to the idea that, hey, maybe we should save the city from the bioweapon, and he disperses the cops out onto the street to help deal with this. Oliver tries to fight Roz again, while everybody else deals with finding and stopping the bioweapon. Diggle and Thea discover that Roz is using 4 of his men to disperse the virus. When their blood is exposed to the air, the virus particles come out of the blood, and then everyone dies. So they need to stop these League of Assassins men from killing themselves or cutting themselves or doing anything that would get blood out into the air. Oliver and Ra's al Ghul are having their boss battle on top of a dam. They're fighting, swords, fists flying, it's a very dramatic battle. Oliver ends up killing Ra's al Ghul, which is a win for Ra's al Ghul because now Oliver has to ascend to the air. He who kills Ra's al Ghul shall become him. Oliver takes the ring off of Ra's al Ghul's finger. This is like the special Ra's al Ghul ring. He who wears the ring is Ra's al Ghul. Never mentioned that before, but I really should have. Cops are below the dam. There's a sniper cop, and he shoots Oliver. Then Oliver falls off the dam, and you think this might be the end for good old Oliver Queen, but it's not. Because Felicity swoops in, wearing Ray's Atom suit, and she saves him and brings him back to safety. The plan is for Oliver and Felicity to run away together and start a new life somewhere else and live there happily ever after. I love that for them. This is all I wanted for them this entire time. Thank God. Get out of that city. Go. Go, girl, go. Get your man and go. Everybody seems to have come around to the idea that Oliver was just doing a master fake out and he didn't really mean any of that stuff that he did, except for Diggle, because it's kind of hard to get over the fact that he kidnapped Lila. That's kind of hard. That's gonna take a minute for Diggle to get over. In Hong Kong, Tatsu leaves to go join a monastery, and Oliver decides that it's not time to return to Starling City yet, because he's got a darkness inside of him, and he needs to figure out what this means. So he doesn't know where he's going, but it's certainly not Starling City. Thea still hates Malcolm, but maybe a little bit less so now. She's coming around. Everyone is healing. We're all reconciling. I love it. A good ending. This is the good ending, guys. Buckle yourselves in, okay? Because this is part 4 of Malcolm Merlyn's master plan. This is what it was all leading up to. Oliver goes to chat with Malcolm, and he gives Malcolm the Ra's al Ghul ring. So now Malcolm Merlyn is the new Ra's al Ghul. That was the whole plan the whole time. That's what bro wanted from the very start of the season. All he ever wanted was to be Ra's al Ghul and get to swim in the Lazarus pit. That's so crazy how Oliver could just hand Malcolm Merlyn the Ra's al Ghul ring, despite everything that this man did in season 1. Bro killed Tommy. Bro did the undertaking, and he manipulated your sister into killing Sara, and you are still handing him the League of Assassins ring? Do you even understand the scope of how much damage Malcolm Merlyn could do as Ra's al Ghul? Do we have any idea what you've just done, Oliver? I think the hell not. Ray is tinkering with his atom suit. He wants to be able to make it shrink down to like the size of an atom, perhaps, and while he's fiddling with some shit, it blows up, exploding the entire top floor of Palmer Tech in a big blaze of fire. Oh my god, now he'll never meet Rip Hunter. What the fuck, bro? This is devastating. Malcolm is now the new Ra's al Ghul. He's chilling at Nanda Parbat. Nissa is still around and kicking. She tells him that she will get her revenge for him killing Sara. She's not over that. But for now, she agrees to kneel and respect him as the new Ra's, as you do. Through a voiceover, while Oliver and Felicity are in a little car, driving away into the sunset, Oliver says that he is finally happy. Wow. He's finally happy, and it's time for him to be something other than the Arrow. Holy shit. I prefer to live in the timeline where this is the end. Nothing happens after this. We can stop here. The CW has a season 3 curse where everything after season 3 is just big pile of doo-doo donkey shit. So I prefer to live in the world where season 3 is the end. However, that's not the timeline that I'm on, so I will be talking about season 4 eventually. Stats for this episode. Oliver had 110 dramatic pauses. The character with the most quips was Felicity. She had 5. The character I laughed at the most was Thea. I laughed at her twice. And the character with the most kills was Nissa. She had 4. There's still one thing that I have yet to do, and that is give out the 2 awards for this season, the Favorite Character Award and the Girlboss Award. And this time, I have to give them both to the same guy. I'm sorry. I've been trying to split them up to different characters. This time I can't do it. Okay, I cannot deny my feelings. The character who wins both the Girlboss Award and the Favorite Character Award is Malcolm Merlin. Okay? There is simply no one more of a girl boss than him this season. He masterminded the entire plot of the show, pretty much. And there's truly nothing more girl boss than that. Like, by definition, a girl boss is the character who drives the plot forward and never lets the plot drive them. Every speed bump he came across, he adapted. The plan changed. And at the end, what did he get? The keys to the kingdom. No one won harder than Malcolm Merlin this season. Honestly, I do wish that we were living in the timeline where this show ended at season 3 and nothing else happened, but unfortunately there is more Arrow after this. It's a fun show, but like season 4 sucks. Season 4 is so bad, guys. You have no idea. But I'm actually really excited to talk about season 4 because one of my biggest hobbies is complaining. And I cannot wait to just get to stand here and complain about how awful season 4 is. But before I can do that, the next video in this installment will be Flash season 2. If you've not seen my Flash recaps, I actually made one for season 1 very recently. It's linked in the description, and I will try and plop it up on the end card if I can figure out how to do that again. This video will hopefully be out before December. That's my plan. And my Christmas gift to me will be getting to watch season 2 of The Flash. Love that for me. Love that that's my Christmas gift. It's an insane amount of work, but these are really worth it. I love making these videos, and I feel like I am getting better every single time because I do try. I'm trying. I swear. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, extra thank you. I mean, you're the only one who would have heard the first thank you in the first place. Please leave a like if you made it this far. You might as well. I mean, you put all your time and energy into watching the video. The least you can do is just click the button, please. And subscribe, because I will be making more of these videos in the future, and you don't want to miss that. Also, please share the video if you have friends to share it with. I know this one's kind of a weird video to share to people. Hey, you want to watch a 4-hour-long video where some girl explains the plot of Arrow Season 3? That's a hard sell, I know. Just want to let you know that you, yes, you are my best bestie, and I will see you again in the next one.